So welcome to the class, everyone. We will start the session now. The video is going live on YouTube as well. You can watch from there, post the session. So the topic of this particular class is SQL triggers. This is again the part of our SQL course. So far we have covered all the major topics which are in SQL. Few classes are remaining. One is triggers. Then we will have a class on CTE, and then we will have a class on the how to solve problems in SQL. So in this particular class, we are going to discuss few main topics. First of all, we discussed stored procedures in the previous class. If you guys remember, on the same lines, we will discuss a little bit about what are SQL functions and how to create a SQL function. And after that, we will be discussing what is a SQL trigger, okay, and what is the meaning of it, what is the what is the business logic of SQL trigger, when to use, right? So these two will be major topics of this particular class. After that, I will give you a little bit theoretical overview of what is SQL injection if time permits, but that is not required. I mean, for data analyst level, that is something you will require in later on classes. Okay, so these two are the class is going to be of these topics only. It's not going to be a very lengthy like 4-hour class or 3-hour class. Will so the format of class will be I will teach you triggers, I'll teach you functions, I'll give you some concepts, right? And after that, I'll give an assignment to solve in the live class only. So that's how the format of our every classes, and that's what we are going to have in this particular session as well. Before we begin, please download this. I have shared in the chat box. You can check. I have pinned it on the comment. This particular there are two files. One is triggers data. Second is triggers PowerPoint. So please download them before I begin the session. Okay, so anyone, any doubt before we start? Okay, so let us begin the session. Now, in the previous class, we discussed about what are SQL. So basically, we discussed stored procedures, right? Can someone tell me what is stored procedures? Also, those who are watching on the YouTube live, I have put this link in the video description as well, so you can download the files from there. So can someone tell me what are stored procedures? We discussed the stored procedures in the last class. Am I audible?
Sir, basically
Yes,
a
yes,
stored
you're audible.
procedure is a
So,
stored
this
procedure
stored
used
procedure
to
is
prepare
an
a SQL code. Used to store.
Sorry, I didn't get your answer.
A stored procedure is a prepared SQL code that can save so that it can be reused again, over and over
Yes.
again.
So basically, stored procedure in a SQL is that to avoid the repetitive codes which you have in SQL. Suppose you have to write down a code where you have to retrieve salary of different employees, and you don't want to write the employee name again and again, different queries again and again, right? So what you do a stored procedure. So what does stored procedure do? That you create a block of code in stored procedure. Okay, you write down a SQL code which is which can be which is iteratable and which you can repeat again and again, right? So suppose you write a particular SQL query here and something, and you will pass a parameter to this particular stored procedure, and every time you pass a parameter, it will give you something, right? It will execute this SQL script in the backend, and it will give the result. That's what we discussed in the stored procedure. Okay, and what happens that this particular thing, whatever execution is done, it is stored in a cache memory, and because it is stored in a cache memory, this particular SQL code becomes efficient, and that is why writing stored procedure is a I will say it is a efficient way of SQL coding, right? The next topic which comes up after stored procedure on similar lines. One drawback of, can someone tell me the what was the drawback of stored procedure? What was one problem with stored procedure that we were using? Anyone? What is one limitation of stored procedure? YouTube, is there anyone? Uh, no. Let me close it. Uh, so basically, guys, you should have, yeah, exactly. That is the problem with stored procedure, that when you execute a particular code on a stored procedure, it runs in the backend. Okay, you cannot see the result. You cannot, the output you cannot see in the stored procedure. Okay, so to overcome this, we use SQL functions. Okay, a SQL function is, you can say, is an advanced procedure step in which you can basically check the output as well, because every function, if you remember, if you know what, how does any function work, any function, be it SQL, Python, or in general, the the architecture of any function is that you write down a function. Okay, every function will take some parameters. Okay, and every function returns something. Okay, so whatever the outputs you are having, a SQL function will always show you that output. Okay, so if you are really interested in seeing what the output of a particular query will look like, then you have to use SQL function. So in this particular, so first of all, before I build the concept of triggers, we need to understand the functions, because functions are directly used in triggers. Okay, so let's begin understanding functions. It is exactly similar to stored procedures, just that couple of keywords will be changing, and syntax will remain almost similar. So what you do, that go to this particular folder, the triggers data. There will be a sample data present in the end for functions which I've created, this customers orders. Okay, so I'm creating this particular table. You can do parallelly in your systems as well. So let me first of all delete this, delete customers orders customers. Okay, so first I'll create this customers table, which is, it is present in the data that I have just shared. Okay, then we have this orders table. Then we have this orders table. Okay, so we will execute both of these codes, and then we have to just insert some values into both the tables, into customers as well and into orders as well. So please do this parallelly in your system. So yeah, now if I just do select star from customers, select star from orders. Okay, so if I just run the customers table, I will see this. We have five customers. Customer ID is there, customer name is there, email ID is there, city is there, and they have some bank balance. Okay, so this is there, and this is the orders. So order ID, customer ID, the customer who placed that order, uh, order date, and we have total amount, the amount that person ordered. Okay, so these are the two basic tables which are there. We'll use them to understand the concept of functions. So first of all, let's see how to create a function. Understanding the syntax of of a SQL function. So it is exactly similar to the stored procedure that we have done. But even if you don't know stored procedure, it's fine. Let's try to understand the syntax from here. Okay, so the syntax goes like this. You will write down as create function. Okay, so this is a keyword, create function, and then you will give a function name. Let's say function underscore name. Okay, so this is the name. This is dynamic. You can change as per your situation. And after this, in the bracket, you will pass some parameters. Okay, so there will be like different parameters which you generally pass in a function. After that, you have to use a keyword returns. Returns data type. So basically every function returns or you can say data underscore type. So every function returns something, right? It could return a number, it could return a string, it could return, let's say, anything. So it will have a type. So we have to tell the type of that particular output that is coming out of the function. Okay, after this, if you remember the stored procedure, we used to write this thing language, right? So what do we write in language? Can someone tell me? Which
PG
script is present in the drive, which is attached in the if you check the chat box, it is present in the link. Yeah. What comes in language?
PG
Yeah. So it comes whichever SQL you are using. So we are using PostgreSQL. So I'll mention procedural. Okay. PostgreSQL. So PLPG SQL. Then you have to write down as this is again this is a there's no logic for this. This is how the syntax looks like in a function. Okay, as, and then you have to mark the start of function. It starts with $2 sign. Okay, and it ends as with $2 sign as well. Okay, so this is how a function will look like. And after this, here you will have your begin command. Okay, and then you will have your end command. And remember, here we used to write our whatever function we SQL code we wanted to write in a stored procedure. We used to write that here, if you remember, between begin and. Here, the one remember one addition thing that a function has with reference to a stored procedure is that it will return you something. So basically, what will be happening? You will write down your SQL code here. Okay, whatever SQL code is there, you will write it down here. Towards the end, you have to write down return something. So whatever variable or something you are going to return, you will pass that variable. Now this variable is the same thing. This will have a data type, right? So remember, this data type is of this variable. So this is the overall syntax of a function, SQL function, that it looks like. It is exactly similar to stored procedure. So first of all, you will write down a function name, parameters, then what type of value are you returning, the language, then these two tell you that this function will be contained between these two, and begin and end. These are by default. I mean, you don't need to change them. The only thing that you need to change is the SQL code which you will be writing on here, and whatever you are going to return. Okay, so you can remember this structure. Main thing, you have to change things here. Okay, any question, anyone, before I move ahead? So let me put it in the chat box. Session is getting recorded. It is on the YouTube, going on YouTube already. Yes, yes, functions are reusable. That's why we create functions, so that we can reuse them. Okay. So I will show you how to create function using couple of examples on this data sets. But tell me, is it clear? Function, that what are functions, and this is the basic syntax. uh, might look little daunting to you initially, like those who have never written it, but it's fine. Most of the things are static only. I mean, you just need to change the parameter and the SQL code which is lying here. Rest all you can like learn, as the more you practice, you will remember the syntax, so it's not a big deal. Okay. Shall I move ahead? Okay, so let's discuss next. Yes, the difference is only that the results will be shown in the function. So you can use anything, stored procedure as well or function as well. It's just that the in stored procedure you cannot see the result. Okay, so let's move ahead. Let's see some examples how we can create the functions in real time. Okay. Now there are two types of function. One is a scalar function. One is a so one you'll find. I mean, this is not important to know, but still, I'm just telling you. Scalar function. So scalar function and a parametric function. And parametric function. So scalar functions are those functions in which you don't need to pass any parameter. They will return you something. You just need to call them. And parametric functions are those in which you will be required to pass parameters. Okay. So this parameter is optional. There will be functions in which you don't need to pass this, and it will return you something. So we will see one example of each of type of function, how to create a scalar function, how to create a basically non-scalar function. Okay, so let's create a scalar function first of all. So function one, let the function be write down a function return total number of customers in the table. Okay, so let's say we have this table. Select star from customers. Okay, suppose this table keeps on updating every hour. So what will happen? Customers will keep on changing. Right now there are 5 customers, but after 1 hour there might be 50 customers. After that there can be 200. So at any point of time you want how many distinct customers are present in my table, because see, all the tables which are provide you update on a real-time basis, they keep on changing, right? So you want to know few things, variables which will change continuously, so that you can have the updated version, right? For example, if you're creating a dashboard or a report, it needs to be updated live, right? So that's how you basically create a function. So let's write down the creation of this function. So I'll write down create function. Okay, remember this is the syntax. The function, this is not case sensitive. You can use small as well, it's fine. I think it is, yeah, it is fine, otherwise it would have shown error. Then you will write down, suppose customers, let's say total underscore customers. So let's say this is my function name. Okay, and remember we are creating a scalar function right now, so we do not require any parameter. So whenever we call this function, it will return us something. Okay, and after this we have to return, remember what we have to write down, returns data type. So what is the data type of that particular uh, output? So what are we returning here? Let's check. We're returning total number of customers. So what will it be? What will be the data type of this particular value that we are getting? Total number of customers.
Integer.
Yeah.
Integer.
So it will be integer, right? So what I'll write down returns integer. Okay, you can use capital as well, small as well, it's up to you. After this, language, procedural, Postgres, SQL. Okay, as $, $, right? So, and after this, what we have to write? We have to write down
Begin.
End, right?
Return.
Yeah. Okay, I'll write down the code. Now see, we are creating a new variable here. If you see, we are calculating total number of customers. Now we don't have a total number of customers. So we are creating a new variable in this particular function. So whenever you have to create a new variable, you will write it down after this, but before begin. So you have to write down a declare statement. I forgot to tell you. You have to declare. So whatever new variables you are creating in a function, you have to mention them after this. Declare, and let's say whatever variables you create. So I am creating a variable, let's say uh, total customer. Okay. And what is this? This is integer. Remember. Okay.
So this is new variable that we are creating, total
Yes.
customer. That
Yes. We'll
is why
create new
declare.
variable total customer.
It is
Okay.
similar to the store procedure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I have been telling you. This is similar to stored procedure. The only difference is that this returns something. Stored procedure does not return anything. Okay. So now we have to write down a query. Suppose what query will you write to get the total number of customers from this customer table? What will be the query? Suppose this is a table. How will you get the total number of customers in this table?
Select count of customer rating.
You do select count of customers, right? So
Yes.
how we write down here is that we will write down, now this might be a new thing for you as well, but so we'll write down select generally you select count star from customers, right? This is what we do. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We
Just
now
for
not
just for count only, right?
sorry.
Just for counting only, right? This is
Yeah, I'm just talking about counting.
yeah. That's only.
Now remember, we have to return something, right? So we have to return this variable total customer. So what do I want? I want to store this value into a variable. Agreed? So generally, how do we write? We write on a variable as, let's say, p is equal to select count star from customer. Generally, like we can write it down like this. But how do we do in SQL is that we'll say whatever we are creating here, count star, we have to use into. So what does into say? That whatever you are creating in this syntax, you are storing this particular thing in a variable. Okay. And what is the variable we created here? Total underscore customer. Okay. So remember, generally your SQL query looks like this, right? What you do, sometimes you do as, correct? But here what you do, you will write down into, that whatever you are creating here, okay, it will go into a variable with name total customer. Okay. And after this, you just need to return total customer. That's it. And you will just end it. That's it. So this is the function that we have created. This function is completed now. Okay. Now this might be a new concept for you, that what does into mean? Into only means that generally if I use the query just like this, then this value, although it is getting created, but it is not getting stored anywhere. To store it in a variable which I have already created here, I will simply say this, store this count into this particular variable. Okay. And that's how this variable will be created. Now see, let me run this function. Okay. So this function has been created. Okay. Now how to call this function? Will simply, I will say select total customers. Okay. And I will simply call this. That's it. Okay. Now whenever I'm going to call this, it will generate the result like this, that okay, you have got the total customers to be 5. Any doubt, anyone? I know this is new for you, but try to understand the logic. Syntax, it's fine, you will remember over the time, but try to understand the logic.
This will give like as you earlier mentioned, the count of the customers, it is getting incremented or decremented, it keeps dynamically changing. So in here this will so we have to explicitly run it every time, and then it will give us the updated count,
Yes.
like
Without running, it will not give. How will it give without running?
Yeah, that is fine. So actually, I'm where to use, in which cases to use, like for recurring tasks we are using, or like when do we use like these functions, and when do we have to
These
use those?
functions are used
Uh,
when you have recurring tasks, when you don't want to write down big codes, because right now the code is very small. Generally, these codes are like 200 lines or 300 lines of code. There you use them. There you use functions. For example, suppose you simply you want to uh, get the updated number of customer in a big code many times. So you don't want to write down this whole statement again and again. Instead, you will simply write down this small query and it will return you. Just like you do sum, you do select sum of
yeah,
variables.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
is sum is also a function only, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
like that you have created a function of your own.
uh, can we add number of columns, or what is that called? After declared, you have mentioned the total customer, right? Can we add number of
So this is declare whatever new variables we are creating, though they come here. In this scenario, we are only creating one variable. So we
yeah,
don't need
yeah, that's what any other variables we can add in under that one.
which variable.
Is it any other variable in declare? Like you, one variable you have added like
You can
total
create
customer.
multiple variables, but in declare you only put those variables which you are creating in the code.
Yeah. If required, we will mention under this code also. But it's okay to add number of multiple variables under that one or not.
So yeah, you can add multiple variables. You can add as many variables here. So now let's test this out. Let's change our tables. So we have select star from customers, right? So let's do one thing. Let's add few customers to this, right? So let's say insert into customers. Okay. Uh, customer underscore ID. Let's say customer underscore name. Okay. Values. Let's say 6, comma. Let's say name is ABC. Okay. Let's add few rows. We have added this. Uh, what is null? Okay, there might be some constraint. Let me add properly then. Customer. So where is it? Okay, I have to enter everything. Let's create a new customer. So insert into customers. Let's say I add a new customer, ABC, abc@gmail.com, Delhi rest. Let's keep it same. Okay. So now when I do select star from customers, how many customers are there? 6. So now when I run this particular function, select total customers, and I call this. So this should give me updated value, right? So
6.
it is giving me 6, right? So in the backend, whenever your data keeps on getting updated, this function will automatically take care of it. Okay. So suppose you need to dynamically pass somewhere total number of customers in the table. There you don't need to write down again and again. You will simply call this function and utilize it dynamically. Okay. So that is the
If
power. That is
we
by this.
delete also,
Yeah, please.
if we delete also
What?
any row.
Of course, it will delete. So this is connected to your table dynamically.
Okay.
select star from customers, right? Update customers.
Yes, yes, yes.
Tell me how to delete.
Delete from customers, and then that's the clause, right? I'm not recollecting actually.
Tell me how to delete. Delete three. I want to delete these three customers. Tell me what should be the code. I have taught this earlier. Guys, आपको delete.
Which customers you want to delete? I mean, I
Tell
was
me,
not
just
in use.
give a query to delete any customer from the table.
Delete.
Delete from customer,
Hmm.
like a customers. Customers.
Okay. Then
Your customer ID equal to any.
Where customer ID equal to 345.
where customer
ID
underscore
equal
ID
to
in, let's say,
nah. Okay, okay.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
या फिर टाइम पे बताया करो ना, इतना टाइम क्यों लगाया बताने. So suppose I deleted. Now how many customers I have? 3. So this function should return me 3. See, it is returning me 3 automatically. So that is the power of functions, that once you create them, you can use it dynamically anywhere in your code. Okay.
Got it.
And if you remember, like, people create these dashboards, right, where you have total customers with they just have buttons, right? You click on those buttons and you get the values. So what does happen in the backend? People create such functions, which I just show you, right? So what people do, that people will create these functions and they will create some user form or dashboard like this. Okay. On dashboard, they will create different buttons. Let's say one button shows total customers, one button shows customer with the values, something like this they will create. And then they will attach these functions to these buttons, that upon clicking these buttons, these functions get executed, and there you see the result. So it looks like magic, but it is not. I mean, in the backend, things are working like this, that upon the click.
Buttons. What does that mean, buttons actually? I mean, button, that means you are saying KPIs, or that buttons have to press that and then that KPI value will get changed.
When you press on the button,
On
the
the
KPI
UI.
gets changed. In the UI, you have, right, suppose you have a
Yeah.
button which gives you total number of customers, and when you click on that button, here you get the output, right? So as you keep on changing, the value keeps on changing here. On the dashboards, you see a lot of things like this. So
How this will work, I'm not able to relate. I mean, मैं think नहीं कर पा रही हूँ. Like
simple.
backend
This,
run हो रहा है, like calling this function, but then here it is button.
so there is a button. Any UI person just created a button. When you click on this button, so they have put a code that whenever any user clicks on this button, this function gets executed, and the result of this function gets displayed here.
Okay.
So that's how the dashboards work, that you have some buttons, or you have some any like element, UI element. At the moment you interfere with them, the functions get executed and you see the result there. That's how it is. Is it clear?
Now give the example.
This is the example only that I gave.
IRCTC booking, railways booking, when you press some button after filling the form.
Yeah. So for example, let's say you want to log into Netflix, right? You'll type down your email, your password, and then you'll click sign in. So what happens when you click on sign in? There is a function associated with this button, right? And it logs you into the page. Do you get my point?
Yes. Like registration.
Anything that you see online, any page, let's say Google Meets only, for example, Google Meet. Okay, I go to Google Meet, I have to schedule some, let's say, meeting. I'll click on this. When I click on something happens, right? So what happens whenever I click something, a function is associated with this. A function is they have created a code in the backend for everything. Whenever you click on anything, a code gets executed and you see its result. So remember, there's a thing we see. We say there is a front end development, back end development, right? So front end is about designing these pages. Back end is as user clicks on anything, what happens in backend, right? That comes, so that is backend. So that's what I mean to say from this. Is it clear,
Yes.
everyone?
Yes, bro. Yes.
Any doubt? Okay, so this was the basic function. Now let's create a little bit a parametrical function. For example, let's say I want to return, let me check the data first of all. So we have customers. So we have customers and so let me check what all values are there in the table. Select star from customers. So let's say I want to retrieve the balance of a customer given the customer ID. For example, let's say create a dynamic function now. So create a parametric function. Parametric function. So what is the meaning of what I mean to say that user enters customer ID, or maybe customer enters his name, okay, or customer ID. For example, customer, let's say user enters customer ID, return his or her balance. Okay, so let's say there is a dashboard like this, that the moment you enter, like you see in your bank accounts as well, right? When you log in or when you enter your name, they show your balance, right? So in the backend there is a database which tracks your balance, everything, right? The moment you enter your name, it will reflect your balance. So let's create a function like this. So what I'm going to do is create function, okay, and let's say get underscore balance. Okay, uh, now it will need a parameter. So far in the previous case we didn't require any parameter. Here we need a parameter. So what is the parameter? Let's say the parameter is customer underscore ID, which is an integer. Okay, so which is an integer. Sorry, I was writing from Python point of view. Yeah, now this particular thing returns what? This is returning a balance, right? So balance is of what data type?
Flow type.
Int or big int.
Yeah, so you can say that, or you can say decimal as well. Okay,
Yeah, decimal float.
yeah, so you will say this is a decimal. Let's say decimal, and let's say decimal. So if you see, this is numeric. So let's take this only. This is numeric, right? So we will use this only, not even decimal. Let's call it numeric 10,2. Okay, now what is next? Language.
Language.
Postgres, procedural Postgres SQL. Okay, then as dollar 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 dollar
Declare.
will come. So right now this is, now remember we have to show someone's balance, right? So I'm creating a new variable balance. So let's put a new variable after this. So the variable will come before begin. So this is begin, this is end. Okay, so variable will always come before begin. So let's create a new variable, declare, let's say balance, okay, which is numeric, and we'll say 10,2. Okay, any doubt, anyone?
Underscore is not required.
Where is underscore?
The balance after balance.
balance is variable name, numeric is its data type.
Okay.
Okay. So now inside begin, we will write down. So what do I want? I want that whenever I get a customer ID, I return is balance. Okay. So what will I do? Let the SQL query will look like select, okay, balance from customers, okay, where customer underscore ID is equal to what? Is equal to the variable which has been passed. Let's name it cust ID, cust underscore ID. Okay. Just to tell you, this is the variable that user has passed, that we are given. So customer ID has to be dynamically passed here, right? So what will be the customer, this customer ID? What will this be? It will be cust underscore ID. Is it clear? Any doubt in this query? Is it difficult? Tell me.
No, bro.
This is the query, right? Select balance from customers where customer ID. Now remember, we have to dynamically provide the balance. I don't have to provide balance of any customer. We have to dynamically, the user will enter customer ID and we will have to provide his balance dynamically. So we'll put where customer ID is equal to cust underscore ID, which we are passing as a variable. What do you want me to explain? I didn't get. Tell me what you didn't get. Then I will explain. Yeah.
So in previous case, like over there, now since we want to get, no, 1 minute. So okay, so now since we want to get the balance, so here we have said that return me, and we have only returned like the data type is like 10,2, and the same thing we are declaring it over here.
Yes.
So it's uh, so like this is like uh, I'm actually confused with the sequence
What you're
actually.
confused? What you're confused with?
Like I'm finding it similar to what we did earlier, like last session we had, na.
I
So
told you
similar,
functions is same as procedure as stored procedure.
yeah. So
Only difference is function returns something. Stored procedure does
something,
not
yeah,
return something. Here we will have to write down return statement. Instead,
yeah,
you
correct.
don't write down a return statement. That's the only difference.
That's the difference. Okay. Uh,
The dynamic values pass because we are creating a function where user will enter his customer ID and he will get to see his balance. Now this function anyone can use, right? So you
mm,
just write down any customer ID, you will see his balance. So this customer ID needs to be passed dynamically. You cannot say that
hmm.
if you just
Okay.
write down customer ID equal to 2, what will happen when you run this function?
It will
Remember,
declare
the
only
query is
the
getting
two.
executed. The whole gist is that forget everything that is written here. Eventually, this is getting executed in the backend. And if you just mention 2, then does not matter if a user enters his ID as 3, it will still show return show the value for customer ID equal to 2. Are you getting my point? Guys, yes or no? Tell me, please. I can explain, don't worry. But tell me first.
No, just repeat what you said. If we give directly 3 means how it will be show like customer ID 2.
Listen, this is
Yeah.
a function that you have created, right?
Yes, sir. But if
Eventually,
we
what will happen? Anyone will call this select get balance,
select get balance, sir.
and he will enter his uh, customer ID. Let's say I
Yeah,
enter customer ID as 4.
yeah.
Okay. Now, if I
Semicolon.
written this code, what will be executed in the backend?
Customer ID
With
to
two.
balance.
Two.
So the balance which I will get will be for customer 2, not for 4. Even if I change it to any ID, let's say I change it to 100,
Hmm.
this customer ID, it will return only for the customer ID 2.
Okay, it's like default
Yeah, by default, right? You are
by default.
this value.
Whatever is hard coded, it will return.
This is hard coded, right? You have to make it dynamic.
Hmm.
So whatever value user
Hmm.
is passing here, cust ID, you have to put it here, cust underscore ID. So what will happen now?
Now,
If I enter 4 here, okay,
now it's dynamic. Yeah.
it will automatically become 4. If I enter
Yes.
5, it will become 5, right? So it will dynamically fetch the values. Tell me if you still have doubt.
So means while writing, like over here, I'm saying create function get balance, whatever the customer ID, suppose say 5 and uh, the customer ID is 5. So and while coming down, when I'm after begin when I'm writing the select balance, I have to mention the same ID as 5.
Of course, why will you forget the function. Suppose you want
No,
to
I got no,
check,
I got it, sir. I got it.
you want
I
your
thought you
value.
were saying I thought you were saying that like if we are saying get balance over here and here in the downside it will take it automatically. I thought maybe like I misunderstood it.
Automatically, remember, there's nothing, no magic in the world. You have to write it down. Okay. So
Yeah.
the only thing is that till now you were doing manually. Now you don't want to do it manually.
Hmm.
So,
Whatever function user will pass here, the value will get here. So now this will become automatic.
bro,
So
this
if we
is
keep it like this, so if we keep it like this, like how you have written exactly. So when we want it to be dynamic, then only the upper part will the customer ID we need to change. Only in that case that will be dynamic. Is that right? What I'm understanding
I didn't get your point.
means in the above in the create function get balance customer ID. Suppose I have given it as 5.
Yeah.
And here, anyways, you have written under begin. You have written select by customer ID equal to cust underscore ID. I
Yes.
keep it the same.
Whatever you write here will come here.
Hmm.
you need
Okay.
to mention the
We
create
need to
function is
mention
there.
it
Yeah,
that way.
then only
Okay.
it will be calculated. Otherwise, it won't calculate.
Yeah. Got it.
Bro,
Got it. Okay.
So that's what I'm
bro,
telling you.
one.
This is a parametric function where user enters a customer ID and he gets to see her balance. You remember you
Yeah.
see board. You remember you see your board results. You go to the
Oh yeah.
website. You write down your roll number
Student
and
ID.
you see your result.
Roll number.
In the
Yeah.
backend, they have a
Fine.
database like this. How come
Hmm.
user just enters his roll number and he see his result only? You don't see someone else result, right? So what happens that they have a table तो एक ही होती है उनके पास 50 टेबल थोड़ी बनाते हैं वो टेबल सेम होती है it's just that they have create they're dynamically passing your roll number and returning your result. Same thing as happening here.
Bro, one small question. This is a stupid question only, but
No, no, please ask me.
tell
Yeah,
me.
stupid, yeah. Yeah.
If we use like the create function only, then what is the usage of storage stored procedure? This is the best option for using, right? We can get the result written also.
See, thing is that how things appeared in timeline. Stored procedures were created before functions, right? So they exist. People use them, but functions are more useful.
Yeah, because we are getting written also, right here.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
will be a big
yeah. So
usage for the usage.
that's why people use functions most often. Stored procedures are there. You should know. Like you will see a lot of time people using them, right? In companies, old codes they are written. So you should know that why are they there. But functions are more dynamic.
Okay, got it. Sorry for asking this one.
No, no, that's fine. That's obvious question. Tell me anyone any doubt now in this code. See, forget about the syntax. Syntax you will remember. Think like this, that this is the SQL code which I have to run, right? And I have created something around it, right? Now I don't need to run this code again and again. I will simply call this function. Okay. So now Yeah, that I'm going to do. That I'm going to do. So remember, here in the top question, in the function above, we created into, right? So similarly, this this thing we need to pass in a variable. So what we will do, select balance, right? Will into this that variable that we created, it will go into this. Okay, and now what we need to return BAL. Okay, is it clear? So this is the overall function to create this. Now simply run this. Wait a second, begin declare. This is right. Okay, I think after declare I didn't mention this. Yeah, so the function is created. Now what, let's say that put so let's say this, select star from customers. Okay, so for the customer one, the balance was 15,000. So let me run this. This is the function. I have to mention one because customer ID 1. So what will happen when I will enter 1, this cust ID will become 1, this will become 1 automatically, right? And this will give you result for the customer 1, that is 15,000. So when I run this particular part of code, I should see 15,000. When I run for customer 2, it will give me whatever his balance was, 8,000. When I run 3, it will give me balance this. Is it clear?
It's look like simple, but it's tough only.
How is it tough? Tell me. If you remember the syntax, what is the difficulty?
Number of queries will be different.
The line of code, I mean,
Line of
the way
codes
it has
and
been written, basically.
That's because you
The way it has been written, that is a bit.
see in future what you have to do. Code तो आपको कहीं से भी मिल जाएगा. You just have to copy the whole code. Okay. What you need to do? You need to change the query here. Okay, and you need to change the input parameters. That's it, and you just run the function. You don't need
The
to write.
syntax will be same, only that you
Yeah,
want
syntax
the
will be
scalar
same. You just
function
copy
or
the
the
syntax.
parametric function that you
Yeah, you
have
just
to
copy the
add
syntax from
into it.
anywhere online. Okay, just change SQL query. You know how to write. Okay, SQL query. Remember, for functions we use very basic SQL queries. Like we don't write big SQL queries, like difficult, complicated SQL queries into this. Functions are created so that repetitive tasks can be done in simple steps, right? So, for example, where you have to fetch the total balance, where you have to fetch amount of something, right? Those things.
Transactions that are getting updated daily or
Yeah, yeah,
data updation
yeah.
kind of things.
These codes will be very small. You just need to update this code here, right? You just need to be smart enough that okay, what all will be my variables and what will be my SQL query. That's all you need to update. Who is asking you to write down everything? No, you can just, I mean, यार AI का जमाना है, इतना तो code कहीं से भी मिल जाएगा. It's not a big deal. You just should know that what you need to write down here and what you need to pass here. Logically, you should know that. Don't need to remember the whole syntax.
And if that value is not present in that table, so it will throw an error, no? That customer
Yeah,
ID, let's say
it will
5
throw
or
it.
6 something, so it's not present in table.
Yes. Is it clear, everyone? Any doubt? Tell me. Is it confusing? I mean, to focus on the logic, don't focus on the syntax. Syntax, it's fine. I mean, those who have worked with Python, right? It is exactly same. In Python, we write functions, they return something. It is exactly same. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Just give me a second. Okay. If anyone has any doubt, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move forward. Is the functions clear? The logical meaning of function, is it clear to you guys? Forget about the, see, this will be very much helpful to you guys when you are writing SQL codes. You will see yourself, right? So you should know what a function is. So stored procedures are there, functions are there. Okay. Again, these are not checked for a data analyst, but people who will be working in database development, data engineering, for them this is very helpful. So do I mean, at least know the concept. Concept is very important. Okay, so let's move to the main topic of the session. How will we be able to know that what functions are present or created? There are two types of functions. Some functions are pre-built. For example, normally we do select sum of salary, right? This sum is also a function only, right? So these are called pre-built functions, which are present in the system. So you don't need to know every function, you only need to know whatever are useful to you. And other are what we were doing, they are called custom functions that we create as per our need. So you don't need, so these functions will be created by you as per your need. If your job requires that there is a lot of repetitive tasks in your code, then you create those functions. So it totally depends upon your work. I mean, few people don't need to create function at all, few people might have to create. So you should know that if your code is not optimized, right? If you are doing a lot of repetitive things, suppose you're generating sales for a particular from a particular branch, every time you're typing branch ID again and again, writing down those SQL codes. So it's better that you convert that code into a function, and now you simply dynamically pass the value. So totally depends upon your work that you're doing. There's no like single formula for this. Okay, so let us move towards the main topic of the class, that is triggers. Okay, now triggers is a very important concept. It is a very good concept. A lot of people skip it because they think it is complicated, but it is actually not. So let's study about triggers. We will be using the concept of functions in triggers, but so can you tell me what is trigger in your opinion? Because triggers is an English word. It is not some SQL related word. It is an English word. So what is the meaning of trigger that you know?
An incident or an event
Pointing
that will
out,
lead to something.
Yeah,
pointing out,
pointing off.
yeah, pointing any something, highlighting some,
No, highlighting what? I didn't get.
highlighting like someone will say, right, you are triggering me.
Yeah, so trigger basically what happens if we say this particular thing, this event triggers that, right? So basically, yeah, yeah, exactly. So trigger means that, so for example, let's say you go right now, you have Uber in your hands, you go and you book a flight, for example. Okay, in couple of days for sure you will get some discount. Okay, book this hotel, you will get this much discount, or book taxi, you will get this much discount, right? So if you have seen, this is a very common trigger point that whenever a user books a, let's say, flight, okay, whenever user books a flight through his credit card or any debit card or something, he will definitely get for example, I will say taxi discount, he will get a, or he can get a hotel discount or something like that, right? Have you guys seen such something like this with yourself ever?
Dinner discount, dinner.
Which discount? Dinner discount. Yeah, it can be dinner discount, right? Or for example, there is a particular season going on. Let's say winter season is going on. New Year is there. You will see a lot of New Year event happening. So you'll see, oh, get discount on some New Year event which is happening around you. Something like this. So have you guys seen this ever? Like, Can you recall any incident? So these are called triggers, basically.
OYO discount.
Okay, yeah, that is also there. And depending on different scenarios, right? You will get, you go to grocery store, you will get discounts depending upon what you are purchasing. Suppose you made a transaction above, you bought something worth 5,000, then you will get, okay, 20% off, right? So those things are there. So these are called triggers. So what if I have to talk logically or scientifically, what happens that there's an event one, okay? The moment event one happens, event two happens immediately or whatever, right? So the occurrence of E2 depends upon E1. If E1 will happen, then E2 will also happen. Okay. If E1 does not happen, then E2 may happen or may not happen depending upon how the scenario is. And similarly, like there can be multiple things which can be interconnected, right? So for example, if I book a flight, right? Then companies will get to know that, okay, that this person is traveling on certain dates. Let's say I'm traveling, so what is today? Whatever, let's say I'm traveling on 20 and 21st. Okay, companies will think, okay, this person is traveling on these dates, so let's give him, let's say taxi offers, let's give him hotel options, let's give him dinner option, depending upon what type of person I am, what I generally like. So they analyze my transactions, they get to know what type of person I am and what type of offer I'm more likely to get in. For example, if they see this person is a business person, so they will offer me some, let's say, uh, different kind of things. If I'm a sports person, they will offer me some discount on sports items, right? Depending upon my activities, which are
Coupons,
on my
discounts, anything.
exactly.
Promo.
So when you give access to your, remember when you do whenever you have banks, right? The company ask for your access to bank accounts. So why do they need access? They need access so that they can analyze your pattern, they can identify which type of person you are, right? And then they can accordingly throw ads to you, they can throw discounts to you, so that they can maximize their sales. That is the overall objective. Okay. So there comes the concept of triggers, that occurrence of one event will take you towards another event. Any doubt, anyone, before I move to the presentation?
So do you mean to say all these events like this happens with the help of trigger in the back
Yes,
end like that?
everything happens with triggers. Everything happens with triggers. Trigger is a
Okay.
very in every company, data science team or there is a separate team for triggers. So they do all this thing which you see. Okay. So let's see a little bit about triggers, okay, and we will try to understand how we can use, so how we can implement them in SQL. Okay.
For separate like trigger thing, there is a separate team like do the triggering thing like database.
Yes,
What kind of
yes.
their rules are?
I mean, this data science machine learning team only, they only do that. In that there is sub team. One team takes care of triggers, one team takes care of
Or
acquisition.
triggers only like to send the promotional emails and
Yes,
everything.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So if we see, triggers is a special stored, forget about the stored procedure right now, is basically is a special thing in SQL that automatically executes when an event occurs in the database. So now triggers are there in general life, different scenarios. Right now we are talking triggers with reference of a SQL table or a SQL database. Okay. So what happens that whenever an event occurs in the database, so what type of events occur in a database? There are mainly three types of event which occur in a database. One is
Create, update, and
insert, update, delete. Okay. So all other things that you do, they do not affect your database, because you create your separate views of them. You do not actually affect it. You're just running a query to check something, but you are not affecting the databases, right? But these events, insert, update, or delete, they actually affect the table on which you are working upon. Okay. So how it happens that for example, let's say you have a SQL command here. Let's say you have written some SQL command. You want to be executed it the moment a person trigger something. Okay, so this SQL query will not run automatically. It will run after the execution of this particular trigger. We will see some examples. Okay, so trigger. So how are they helpful? Now, why we talk? What is the need of triggers? Because they are very useful in automating the task. Remember, in SQL, automation is very much required as you move forward. So there you have to maintain your data, like forget everything. Main thing is the use of trigger is in automating the task that you do. Okay, so let's read out few of the examples. I've written down few of the real world examples. Let's read out them. Okay, so first is bank transaction audit. So whenever a customer so like you go to banks, right? Whenever you deposit or withdraw money from your account, uh, your balance gets updated, right? Suppose your balance is 1000 rupees, you added 500, your balance gets 1500, right? So uh, in every company there is an audit team, right, which keeps on tracking what is happening with your database. So the moment they see any change, the moment there is any change in your ID, that change will go into their databases. So whenever a customer deposits or withdraw money from their account, a trigger automatically logs mean it will store that transaction in a separate audit table. Okay, so what is happening here? The moment user make any update in any adds money or withdraw money, that information will go into the some other team, right? So it will automatically go. You do not go and manually do things, they go automatically. Okay, this ensures transparency, prevents the fraudulent activity, and allows regulatory compliance, right? So it helps companies to track that, okay, quick customer is not doing some fraud thing, or if anyone does like do some irregular pattern, right? It helps companies identify those. Okay, is this example clear?
Yeah.
Right, let's read few more examples. Okay, preventing unauthorized employee deletions. So for example, uh, what happens that a company, like in a company there are 1000 people. Now people will leave the company, people will come into company, right? Few people will like quit the company, few more people will come in. This keeps on happening. Now whenever employee leaves the company, does company delete all his information? No, the company does not delete all
No.
his information.
No.
They put
No.
them into some inactive status, something like that, right? So
Yes.
uh, even if we, so like if we just to delete employee from the table, this way to everything will be deleted, right? So we don't want to delete employee completely, we want to store it somewhere. So this is also very important. We will see in today's example. Another example is auto assigning loyalty points in e-commerce. Like you do a lot of, suppose Amazon purchases, right? You do something. So whenever a customer make a purchase, a trigger automatically calculates and updates their, you get loyalty points on your credit card or different things, right? And based on that, you get discounts, right? So as per your transaction level, suppose you did a transaction here and in a separate table, your loyalty score will be created or your credit score will be created. Like those things will happen automatically. Similarly, fraud detection, as I mentioned, if a customer makes more than 5 transactions within a minute, a trigger flags the account and sends an alert for potential fraud transactions. Okay, couple of more, then we'll move to the actual thing.
What is meant by fraud transaction here? Can you tell that?
Fraud transaction means any transaction which is a non regular, like a normal person will not do 5 transactions in a minute, right? I mean, that generally does
Like
not do. For example, if
like
you have, yeah,
like ATM, bro. ATM we can log in. If we log in any other passwords, it will trigger, right?
yes, exactly. Suppose in your ATM, you even in your online, suppose you put your password 3 times incorrectly, they lock your account, right? So they suspect something fraud here, that there could be a fraud. It can be a fraud, cannot be a fraud. That's why they suspect it's a potential fraud. That normally a person logs in his password correctly in 3 or 5 times, but if there is a customer who is not let's say typing his password correctly in 3 or 5 times, that is a wrong transaction. So suppose your balance, you maintain an average balance in your account of, let's say 10,000 rupees. Okay, And suppose you are doing a transaction of 40,000 rupees. This is a fraud transaction. I mean, because what is happening that they'll say that this person is maintaining a 10,000 rupees balance and suddenly is doing a 40,000 purchase. This could lead to a fraud suspect. Suppose you get a salary of, let's say, 5,000 rupees every month, and suddenly they see you get a deposit of 5 crore rupees, right? This will be a potential fraud transaction, that okay, this is something not normal, right? So that is called a potential fraud transaction. Whether it is a fraud or not, that you don't need to care about. That
If
company will decide. You just need to
if
decide whether this is a normal behavior or not. Okay.
bro, if we take that 5 crores amount immediately, then
Means
if we receive 5 crores in our account and
yes.
immediately I have taken that 5 crores.
No, so they have their sensors, right? The moment a 5 crore amount will hit your account, you won't be able to withdraw it. That happens. Try it once. So generally, for example, if you again, in every country banking regulations are different, but I know about US, like that, for example, if you get a certain number of amount more than that you get every month, uh, if any such amount comes into your account, you will not be able to withdraw. Yeah, bank puts a limit, right? For example, for UPI there is a limit of 1 lakh rupees per day. You cannot do a transaction of more than 1 lakh rupees per day, right? Similarly, like there are different type of uh, things. Again, let's not go into that. Main thing is that these things are regulated, right? If anything that happens beyond normal thing, that is considered to be potential fraud. Okay. So similarly, there are like in the PPT, you will see that there are a lot of such examples, triggers. You can read them. So the main thing is that what is happening. So what is a trigger here? That a customer made more than 5 transactions within a minute. Ideally, no person can do more than 5 transactions in a minute, right? So the moment something like this happens, you have to do something. You have to store that information, or you have to flag something. So these things are called triggers. Okay. All clear? Anyone, any doubt?
So all these are real life examples of the backend is triggers working.
Yes. Yes. There are like everywhere trigger is working. If you start noticing, triggers are everywhere. So okay. So let's do one thing. Let's have a 10-minute break. I didn't realize the time. Then let's continue the session after that, and I'll show you how to write down a trigger, what are different cases, and then there is a live assignment which you need to do. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break. We'll resume at this is what's the time right now? So we'll resume at 9:30. Sorry, what?
9:30,
9:30.
9:18 right now.
So let's resume at 9:30. Okay, in 12 minutes.
Sir, I wanted to ask one thing regarding that one more group that you have created, right? About the workshops of Simran Anand, I think. So, are you or anybody else who can teach us like the AWS part?
I can
Anyone?
teach AWS, but not right now. Maybe after a couple of months, I can teach.
Okay, because what the profile why I'm asking is because right now like a couple of years ago I had attempted AWS ka developer associate exam, and I actually missed it by a 40-50 marks. I am from a QA background, so and we were actually made to appear for that exam. It was compulsory for our like all the team members.
Okay.
So I like in the last few questions I fell short of time. So one thing is I wanted it for preparation as well as now in the profile also they are preferring candidates who know AWS and
Nowadays,
along with it the CIs.
they prefer cloud candidates. I mean, prefer kya? I mean, the companies use cloud these days. So I
Yeah, yeah,
guess
yeah.
it becomes like imperative to know at least 2 clouds that everyone should know: AWS, Azure, and GCP. So what
Yeah,
two?
yeah, correct. So Yeah, so that is the main thing, and other thing is like AWS along with they also want the CI/CD operations, like the DevOps part that they are asking. I mean, they want the end to end, like not just one core profile. They want all these things also. So
Yeah.
any course that is like
Again,
in reasonable.
people, I mean, see, thing is that I mean, for me to do every course, I don't know when will I do. Everyone's career requirements are different, right? You might know need things immediately. I'm not doing anything right now, so I mean, I can give you contacts of few people who teach them.
Yeah, yeah, that is what. Yeah, if that would means if
But
they are
again,
charging anything
the thing is
reasonable.
that, but thing is that I know that those people teach. They are good as well. Just that the fees
Mm,
part, I don't know, like who charges how much. That
okay.
you can check and get to
Okay.
know, because most of the people who provide training, they charge heavy fees, right? So if you're okay with that, because yeah,
Yeah, so that is what over here also, like as I mentioned earlier also, they are
yeah.
charging like 25,000
Cloud,
rupees. That.
minimum people charge is 20-25,000. Minimum they charge 20-25,000.
But sir, in that in suppose we pay up 25,000 also, but in
Yeah.
that case, like are we going to get like live project experience? Because see, just basic AWS services I can read it, like I had done that earlier, so I know at least a few AWS main services what are in use, like how they are used and all. But working hands on or live, and
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you know, what have you
yeah.
done in.
They provide. I mean, the people I know. I see. Again, I have not taken any course. I have only seen like others people have told me that these people are good or not, right? So maybe, I mean, they tell that they teach very good. They do live projects. But again, I have not seen. Maybe you can uh, talk to them, and I will share contacts. Right? You can talk to them, see their brochure, something like that.
Hmm.
You can. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I will recommend.
Because sir, I have seen in a few cases they do write that yes, we provide live, like one project, live project you will get to do. So how that project, unless and until we go there, sir, we will not get to know. And
That's
like
why,
in
see,
the interview, they will ask what you have done, what all you have worked on AWS, hands on,
if
क्या
you go
किया
to
है.
anyone, no one will say, okay, I'm a bad teacher. Okay, no one will say that I will not do the life. That's so for it's a business, to be honest, right? So no one is going to tell you that. The main thing is that go through some referral, maybe a friend who has done it. Don't go to totally new person, right? That's all we generally do. I mean, because most of the people they won't give you any trial class. They will simply say unless you deposit the whole fees, they won't even entertain you.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that is what.
So,
So that is why it is like a gamble kind of a thing. Ekdam say we have to pay up
I know
28,000. It's a big
Krishna
amount. Like,
they started some database का data engineering का course और उसमें AW उसमें cloud भी they are teaching, and that Krishna तो like is a very well known person, right? They are charging 7,500, and their course started I think couple of weeks back only. It's a live course and it will go in for 3-4 months, so you can check that maybe. I mean, because I mean
can
more
you
than
share the link of that on the group, please? Or
uh,
the or whoever is the name, I'll look them up
I
and
will,
I'll try to join.
because what I know I will share. Again, you will have to research a little bit on your own. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We will do that.
Someone like everyone knows, so he will be definitely be good, right? And others also I will share. So Power BI course is coming. It's coming, but when it is coming, even I don't know. I mean, it definitely this year, but like before the first half of this year. But I have not decided any date as of now. Is Postgres equal? Postgres, the columns are not. I mean, they're not case sensitive. I mean, capital small does not matter. No, I did in front of you only. I did small only, right? It was working for me. You need to check if you are doing something else. Which column you had to use in quotes? For stored procedure, you have to do in quotes because we used something else as well. Here you don't need to use quotes. See, I mean, I don't know what you uploaded. Main thing is that Postgres, the column name does like it's not case sensitive as far as I know. I mean, we can check that as well. Let's do one thing. Let's do select star from customers. We have customer name, right? So let's do customer underscore name. This is small, so ideally this should work. That's what, as far as I know. Yeah, this is working. Vice versa mean column name capital and I'm calling small. So let's create table test. Uh, let's say customer ID, which is int primary key. Sales int. Okay. Insert into test 9 customer ID, comma sales values. Let's say 1. Select star from test 9. So we have this. See, I made it capital. It's still automatically it's coming small because it is not case sensitive. You, I don't know. Maybe you would have some formatting in CSV. Maybe, I mean, you need to check that. Yeah, maybe some formatting with CSV. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the data didn't upload properly, something like that. Because SQL is not case sensitive at all, as far as I know. I will start in 2 minutes. If anyone has any doubt, let me know. Otherwise, we will start in a couple of minutes.
So what is the name of that mentor? You said Krishna.
I said Krish.
Krish. Okay.
Nice. I mean, this website. Uh, this is his website. I don't know. I mean, how good the, yeah. So he's mainly known for data science, but they have started a course on if you see on data engineering as well very soon, very recently. I mean, where is it? I don't know. Agentic deep learning, data science. Let's view all. I mean, it will be there. Just go to their LinkedIn or something, YouTube channel. They have posted
Yeah,
as.
yeah. Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, these are the paid classes, right? So they will have. Yeah, you'll find them. They have. So uh, he has, and there are few more people. I mean, I will share contacts in group. You can check them. Resolve as in, I mean, have to upload them in. I mean, check with ChatGPT because I'm thinking there might be it might be an issue with your CSV because this is not an issue with PostgreSQL. That's what I can think. I mean, I have not seen the CSV file, so I cannot properly comment, but check with ChatGPT once. or check the file that
Bro, will you do with like a project anything for us?
sorry.
Will you make us a project anything like on final?
I mean, whatever we did, questions that you're doing from the website, they are more than any project. I mean, I can do the project, I have no problem, but like if you have solved the questions from the website, they are more than any project.
Okay.
I mean, what will be a project in SQL? It will be like create, do a database design, build this analysis, right, and uh, get something, right? All those things we
Yes.
have done technically. Pure SQL does not has any project, but if you are going to a data engineering or some like field, do they have projects? Like SQL is just a like tool which you know how to write a SQL code, right? Projects mainly come in. I mean, again, just for doing SQL for data analyst role, doing questions are the projects. But when you're doing a data engineering or a data science or ML role, there you need to know the projects. Yeah, you can DM me the file. I will check it. Still, if you guys want, I'll bring some project, not a problem. But just that there will be nothing new. I mean, it will be like mix of. It will be some scenario where will you will not be given. I mean, I will not tell you which query to write. You have to analyze the data yourself. You'll have to write down the query. You'll have to solve. You'll have to solve the business problem on your own. It will be like that only. SQL wise, there will be nothing new. So yeah, but still, I'll bring something if you want. Okay, let us start. Anyway, like, also we are like I'm taking a course on GitHub as well on 21st, on 22, 2 and 23. I have posted on groups. If someone is interested, he or she can join that. It will be GitHub. I mean, understanding the GitHub, basics of GitHub, how to basically write down various GitHub commands, how to do CI/CD, all those things will be there. This is the first part of GitHub. There will be another part of GitHub course, which will be the advanced GitHub that will come maybe after a month or so. So yeah, it's a paid class. It's the fees is $3, like 250 rupees only. So if someone is interested, you can join that.
Bro, another one, like when it will be expired for us,
Which thing?
like your
You keep
website,
you
your
keep
website.
practicing. I mean, right now there is no expiration date for you guys. You keep on practicing. I will let you.
Thank you.
Right now, actually, I'm occupied in something else, so that's why I mean I didn't bring the next part. So for one more month at least, you can have it. Okay. So GitHub is not only a part of ML ops. GitHub is part of DevOps. So even if you're a data engineering person, you need GitHub. Even if you are a data science ML person, you need GitHub. Uh, So it is like even software developers, they need GitHub, right? Generally, we do GitHub for DevOps role. Otherwise, though, we just use the UI and upload our code. But for developers, you need to know GitHub from the from the command line point of view, so that you can do the CI/CD. Again, it's only for those people who are interested. Like if you are just if you're a data analyst or you're a business analyst, those people do not need. For them, something else will be more helpful. So yeah. Anyways, free space is 5 GB, I think. Okay, let us start the triggers. See the practice website, you will have access for some more time, as I mentioned. Uh, right now, I'm not updating the website. I'm a little bit occupied somewhere else. So keep on practicing them. If you face any issue, I mean, please try to. I might not be able to help you immediately, but keep solving through by take help of ChatGPT maybe. All right. So the website is free for you guys for some more time. So finish those questions. There are like 500 questions. What is screen cooler? Screen color same as screen color you can change from your I didn't get. If you go to the website, screen color you can change from the. How does it change? I didn't get it. No, where does the screen change? I am not getting your point. Like this is. We will see that after the class. I mean, let's start the class now. We'll see that after the class. So triggers. Okay. So as I mentioned, right, what are triggers? Triggers are basically when one event leads to another, right? And so you design these because you have a lot of interconnectivities. I show you like various use cases in the industry. These are very few. Like in reality, there can be like a lot of which you I mean don't even which you will see like once you start working. So now there are three types of main triggers, as I mentioned. Uh, what is happening? Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So there are three types of. Yeah. So there are three types of triggers. One which start with insert, update, or deletion. What does this mean? It means that when you insert something, let's say as I mentioned, remember this particular scenario that whenever a customer deposits or withdraws money from their account. So what is happening? A customer is inserting, let's say inserting any money in their account, right? Or like basically adding one row. So in a table, let's say customer has this information and a new row gets added. That customer added, let's say $100. So a new row got added in a table. You want to log this information in a separate table. So this is called an insert trigger, that whenever a row gets inserted in your table, this information has, like, you have to build some trigger around it. Okay. Again, similarly with update as well, that moment information, let's say there is a referral policy. So not referral, let's say there is a bonus policy or something like that, or tax, for example. Let's say a customer with let's say salary less than let's say less than 10 lakh, right? He has a tax of 0%, and a greater than 10 lakh he has a tax of, let's say, 5%. Okay.
But
Suppose
12% zero.
yeah, that's what I mentioned, 12 lakh 0%, right? So let's say your salary was 11 lakh 50,000. Okay. And you got a promotion, your salary became, let's say, 13 lakh 40,000. Okay. What happened? Your salary got incremented, and because of this, the your tax bracket changed, right? So the salary that you were getting in hand, it will change, right? So this triggered that earlier your tax value was 0. Now your tax value will become something, right? So this is a trigger. The moment there is an addition, increase in salary up to beyond a certain number, your tax also got triggered, right? It got increased. So a change in one variable leads to change in some other variable. That is the meaning of trigger here. Okay. So this happens on update command. Similarly on the delete operation also. So there are certain things. Now, is it clear? Anyone, any doubt in these three types of? So these are the major three types of triggers only which you need to know: insert, update, or delete operation. Okay. So now let's come to the syntax of trigger. So how to write down a trigger? So technically, what is trigger? That we have to now think like this. When I have to create a code for trigger, what will be happening? Tell me. Forget this syntax. Tell me what will be the architecture of any trigger code.
There has to be a means a kind of a. I am just giving an analogy.
Yeah, please, please.
It
Yeah,
has to be similar. Sorry.
Yeah, tell me that analogy. Tell me that thing.
So basically, it should work like there has to be a case statement, something similar to a case, and when and then parts should be there, or if else part should be there, and then the output. Like when that condition gets satisfied, then you will get this kind of output. Or when this event happens, then when this event happens is means that a trigger, and once that trigger is triggered, you will get this kind of output, which should be the then part, means kind of thing.
Roughly, technically this is only happening in the backend. Let's say you have an event A that customers. Let's say your condition is that customer's salary greater than 12 lakhs. Okay, 12 LP. Okay. If so, technically it will be an if statement. If customer salaries, let's say customer salary becomes greater than this, then tax is equal to, let's say, whatever percent, 5%. Else it is 0, right? Such like some kind of if else structure will be there, right? So what is happening here, if I talk that if this thing is triggered, so there will be a trigger event. Okay, trigger event. What I mean by event, that if something that affects something that happens, then what happens, we call this a response event. Okay, so if a trigger event appears, then a response event will also appear in the code. Does this make sense to you guys? If a trigger event happens somewhere in the database, that whether it is inserting or updating something or deleting something, then something will happen. So if trigger event happens, then a respond event will happen. Yes or no?
Same like case statement.
Yeah, that's what. So technically it is like that only, right? So there are main two things to keep in mind. One is that trigger event. What is the trigger event? That it should be present in my code. Okay, and what is going to happen after my trigger gets executed. Okay, so trigger one. So if T gets executed, what gets executed after? So after that, these two things we need to put in our code somewhere. Okay, so let's see how this thing comes. So what we do, we say create trigger with a trigger name. We give it some name. Okay, then there are, as I mentioned, there are different types of trigger. So before, after, instead. Forget instead for now. So instead of and insert, update, delete. Okay, so what does it say? That, for example, now these are optional, like what can happen before insert. So if you see, there are these kind of triggers. There is an after insert, before insert, after update. So all the combination that you see, before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, instead of instead, actually it's instead of delete only, right? So these all combinations are possible. Okay, so let's try to think logically, what do they mean? What does after insert mean? It means that executes after a new row is inserted. Okay, so for example, in that scenario where we have to log the user's transaction history, something like that. So the moment a new row is added, we have to execute a trigger, right? So what will happen if a new row is inserted? Only after that execute something, right? Not before that. Do you get this point? For example, this is used for logging new data, updating related table, or sending notifications. Okay, like for example, you see this message. You recently made a transaction of $100 on something. You get a message from bank, right? Whenever you do a transaction, that is what, that is an after insert. Because what happens, you do a transaction, it gets added into the data, and after insert, there is a trigger that, okay, send message to the customer, and customer receives a message. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Guys, any doubt, anyone? Anyone any doubt, please tell me. सबको clear है पक्का?
Yes, bro.
Okay.
When we insert any amount, we will get the
Yeah,
message, right?
any new row, something will happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly,
Got
before inserting, suppose you are.
Satvik,
Yeah.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Here, after insert, so for when we create a new table,
Yeah.
so we insert data into it, right?
Yeah.
And we give like, so for example, if we give 100 rows of data.
Yeah.
So for each and every row, this after insert trigger, I mean, if we.
Yeah. So after every
trigger,
row, yeah, that depends on how you are defining that trigger. So generally, after every row, there will be a trigger.
Okay, so after every row is inserted, that trigger will be called for those hundreds of rows.
Now, don't think like this. Okay, you are inserting 100 rows together, right? I mean, this is for
Only
like,
when you update or.
remember, after every row you enter, you will see a trigger execute. Think like this: there is a database of your bank balance, for example. Okay, you have a bank at a certain, you have an account at certain bank. Every time you do a transaction, you see a message, right? That okay,
Yeah.
this much money was deposited or withdrawn from your account. Okay.
Yes.
What happens in the backend? There's a database, a table which stores your bank balance and your transaction amount, everything. Okay. Transaction table is there in the backend. Whenever you make a transaction, so what happens? Like, let's say this is your table, which contains your transaction of a particular person. Let's say person ABC, his transaction. So let's say transaction amount, his balance, time, something like this. Okay. Now, suppose you do a transaction, you do a new transaction, a new row will get added, right?
Yeah.
The
So
moment,
this one I understood. The moment you add, the trigger will be called. But
yes,
whenever a new table is created, like we insert some data into that new table, right? So at the point of, I mean, in that query, we insert like hundreds of rows of data.
it does not matter. See, if you do 100 transaction back to back, you'll get 100 messages as well from bank, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so after every, so this is where we did define for each row. I have not explained this syntax yet, but this is where it covers that after every row is inserted, you will see that trigger getting. Let's say the trigger is send email to the customer. Okay.
Yeah.
Now after, does not matter you do one transaction or 100 transaction. After every transaction that you do, you will get an email from bank.
Okay.
You apply jobs on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time you apply, you get an email from the company that thanks, we
Yes.
have received your application. What is
Yeah.
that? That is a trigger, right? Now, if you apply for one role, 100 role, 300 role, does not matter. For every role that you apply, you will get an email from them.
Okay.
Right? So that is a trigger.
Okay. Thanks.
Here, anyone?
Yeah.
Any doubt?
So, in case of like suppose, for example, there are in a company there are new joinees
Yes.
that are supposed to join that organization, and
Yes.
suppose hundreds of them have joined the organization.
Yes.
Means, then in that case, in the database, like say 200 freshers have joined or subco. So that in that case, then like how it will go, like for every student record that, I mean to say the fresher record that is inserted, there will be a trigger, or like after
Yes. Yes.
200.
So
But
two.
then in that case,
Yeah.
but sir, in that case, my question was, if we like, it depends, of course, like how and when you want to use that trigger. But in case someone decides to use the trigger for every row inserted, and
Yes.
there are like many rows being inserted, so will that not hamper the database performance? Like
Nahin, database
because
has nothing to do with triggers. Think like this. So what kind of trigger you want to create? Tell me. Now think like this.
uh,
You told me 100 employees joined a company, or let's say 1 million employees joined a company. example. Okay, so 1 million rows will get added, correct? Now, whenever an employee joins a company, he will get an email from. So, what is the trigger? Do you get the information of any other person? Oh, let's say this person joined the company. No, you will get only email specific to your, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Only
Right.
every. So, let's say there are 1
Uh,
million employees. Every employee will get email only related to him, not other person, right?
yeah, that's right. Actually, I was thinking,
So, there is only
the database has to do that function, right, of sending an email or like,
database does not
uh,
send function. This function is sent by.
sorry, I mean to say the code will do that, but maybe I was confused. I thought that it will hamper the performance or the of the.
Database is separate. Table is separate. In table, things are getting added. You have just added a something sensor. You can think like this. You have added a sensor
Mm,
which will track changes in your database. The moment it sees any change, it will send a notification.
okay, got it. Yeah.
So it will not impact your database. Does not matter 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. It depends how efficient you write the trigger code, right? But it will not impact this database.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah. It is
Tell me
clear.
with confidence. Like if it is not, tell me. I will still explain.
No. No. It is clear, sir.
Right. So these are two different. See, thing is like that. Ki, for example, two things which are a distinct location. If something happens here, something happens here as well, right? It's like this cause and effect वाला चीज है कि basically यहाँ पे कुछ मतलब for example sun का temperature बढ़ेगा तो glaciers पिघल जाएंगे, right? Something like that. Some
Yeah.
relation.
Yeah. Got it.
It is like
Hmm.
this only.
Hmm.
Something happened here
Cause effect.
because of cause and effect. Something happened here.
Yeah.
So इसके internal में क्या चल रहा है? That will not affect. You have just created a sensor around it technically, right? That okay, it will keep on tracking something if something is happening. Okay, all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone any doubt? So this is the syntax of trigger. You'll say create trigger. So you attach a trigger to. So when I mention this sensor, what is this sensor? This is this trigger name that you have created. So this is the sensor that you will create this. You'll attach this to this database. Okay. You'll say create trigger name. Then what type of trigger you are adding. So as I mentioned, show you they're different after insert, before insert, after update, like different depending upon your scenario. Okay. So let's say you'll enter what type of trigger is it? Is it before update, after update, and then on which table name you are putting something. This is very important. Okay. So trigger name, यहाँ पे आएगा trigger type and on which table. After that, this trigger should it be updated for each row or like there are different type of options. But abhi I'm trying to explain you from each row point of view. Okay. So after each row, then execute a function. So what is going to happen? The moment there is this trigger, this function will get executed. Okay. So let's say this function is send emails. Send emails. So the moment insert wala gets activated, emails will automatically go. Getting my point? So this is there. Like main thing is there. You have to see ki what type of trigger is there, and the moment trigger gets activated, you execute a function. That function could be anything. We'll see with example. I have 3 examples I'll show you, but you get my point. So this is the syntax of creating a trigger. It's create trigger before what type of trigger on which table name, then you have to mention for each row, and then you have to write down execute function. So you'll have to create. Remember I told you function at the start of the class. It was for this reason only, that the moment something happens, something gets executed. Okay, all good everyone?
Yes, bro. Till now.
And इसके बाद तो simple only. Tell me if anyone has any doubt.
Bro, is it recording?
Yeah, it's going live on YouTube. Anyone, guys? Any? Tell me, please, if you have any. If you are still not understanding, tell me, please. Okay. So let's move to the. So we are going. I'm going to show you 3 use cases. Okay. In real time, how to create triggers. So the first trigger I'm going to do is there will be 2 tables. There will be an employee salary table. Okay. There will be a salary table. The moment uh, the salary of any employee gets updated, right? Let's say uh, we have to log that change in a new table. So whenever an employee's salary is updated, we need to log the old salary, new salary, and the updated timestamp into an audit table. Okay, got it? So for let's say there was a person whose name was ID was 101. Let's say his name was Ramesh and his salary was 10,000. Okay. So now I'm putting a trigger that the moment there is a change in salary, let's say the salary becomes from 10,000 to 20,000. So I have to create a table which will log that, okay, employee ID, old salary, new salary. Okay. And I have to create a table like this. Is it clear? I created, don't worry, I'm not asking you to create, I'm showing you how to create it. So let's move to the SQL. So let me delete everything first of all. Okay. So this is the if you see, come at the top, this is the first table. We have an employee table. Okay. So you'll see this employees table, and then you will see this. So this is the employee audit table that we want to create. Okay. And then we insert into the employees table. So what is this? This is the table that is present with me, employees. So what is there? This employee ID, name, department, and salary. Okay. So let's say this is the table that I am having. Select star from employees. Right now it is 0 rows. Now I am inserting 3 values in it. Okay. So I have these 3 rows in my table. Now what I want to do, I want to create basically there's a table, let's say employee salary audit. Okay. So what happens the moment the salary of any person changes, I want to create a trigger that the moment the salary of any person changes, I want to store that information in this table. I want to track that thing basically. Just a second. Timestamp. Okay. So let's say this is select star from employee salary audit. Okay. So this table is empty right now. Okay. Now when will this table be? When will any row get added into this? Remember, the addition of row to this table should be automatic. It should not be that I am manually doing insert value. No, it should be that the moment I update a value, for example, I say update employees, right? Let's say set salary equal to let's say 8,000, where employee ID equal to let's say 1, something like this. So what is the moment I run this code, there should be automatically a value that should come into this particular table. Okay, that is my objective. Is it clear? Is the objective clear to you guys? Guys, yes or no?
Yeah.
So the objective is the moment my employee table sees any update in salary, that change should be reflected in this table and a new row should be created. Okay, so let's try to build this trigger. So remember, what all things are there in trigger? The first thing is that trigger condition, and after condition, uh, there's an execution of a function, right? So you can say trigger function, right? So what is trigger function? That after the trigger condition is met, what function you want to run, or what like thing you want to do after that. Okay, so we will try to build a trigger function first, and then we will try to merge it with the trigger condition. Or let's do one thing, let's write down the trigger condition first, the whole trigger statement. So trigger statement will look like create trigger, okay, let's say salary underscore audit, okay, or salary change. Okay, now tell me this, there are few types of trigger we saw here. Which type of trigger will this be?
Insert.
After.
First tell me, will it be after or before?
After.
After insert.
Insert, delete or delete?
Oh,
Insert after.
after insert it.
After insert, update or delete? Tell me.
Can you show me the question?
Question is, what is the question? I told you, na? The moment there is a change in anyone's salary, that change I will track.
After update, it should be, sorry. After
It will be after
update.
update. See, I'm not adding any new row.
Yeah, it is.
After update. Yes, yes.
After insert is when I add a new row to this table. I'm not adding a new row. I'm just changing the value of a row. Okay. So the trigger will be after update. After update. Okay. So you just need to know these things. Generally, kya hoga? You will have these things. So you will have before, after, okay, update, delete, or insert. Okay, इन्हीं का combination होगा. So you just have to think कि कौन सा वाला है ये वाला, right? This you have to think. So this is now after update है. तो ये सब हटा दो. तो this will be after update only. Okay. Is it clear? Now, on which table I want to apply this trigger? I have two tables, employees and employee salary audit. On which table I want to apply this trigger?
Employees.
Employees or employee salary audit?
Employees.
Employees.
Why?
Employee salary.
Because that is the input and we want to update the row from employees table.
Exactly.
Which will
So
act
what
as a
I'm doing,
trigger.
I am tracking the changes in this, right? So because I'm tracking on this, I need to put trigger on employees. This is to my output, which I need to change, right? So because I'm tracking this table, I have to put trigger on this table. Okay. So I'll say on employees. Okay. Is it clear, everyone? एक line please समझते चलना. Don't assume anything, right? If anything is not clear, let me know. So we created this trigger name after, which is trigger is after update. So this is my trigger condition. So it means that, so what does this mean till now? It means that on employee table, if there is any update, now remember the update can be anywhere. So I have to put a condition that for each row. Okay. So now what does it mean? That in this table, in any row, if there is any update in the salary, okay, or if there is any update somewhere, right, what will happen? There will be something. I'll execute some trigger. Okay. So what is syntax after this? I'll say execute a function, right? A function. After that, I need to provide a function name. So basically, a function होगा यहाँ पे मैं जो बनाऊंगा ABC. Okay. This will be the syntax of the trigger. Is it clear, guys? Any doubt in the trigger code? Abhi, this function we have to create. But tell me any doubt in this trigger part.
So when we are saying execute function and the function name, earlier when like I used to like conceptually we have to first declare a function and then call a
Yes, yes.
function.
So we will declare
So
a function.
this is the declaration part.
So what we will do before running this trigger, we have to create a function ABC. Okay. We are saying that whenever there is a change in the row in this table, run this function, right? Now, so this function we have to create before running this trigger. Otherwise, this will give us nothing. What happened? What's the doubt?
Trigger will apply on original table, no?
Trigger to will apply on original table only because we are created on employees, right? Trigger is created on employees. So think like this: there is a person looking at this table continuously, and the moment he see any changes, he writes down his notebook. Okay.
Bro, separate column आएगा. What will be
A
happening?
new table. This ये जो table है audit इसके अंदर वो value store करेगा. Think like this. He is watching this table continuously. This table is his notebook. He will update that information in his notebook whenever he sees any changes in this table. Is it clear? Abhi, I have to create this function. Okay.
Okay.
I have not created this yet. So let's create this function. Okay. So let's call this function track salary change. Okay. So now create a function. Create function. So what should be the name? Track salary change. Okay. Now, right now I'm not passing any variable to this. We'll see that if it is required. अभी देखते हैं. Now remember, a function. Remember इसके बाद क्या आता था? What did we generally used to return? What do we used to type here?
Data type.
Data type, right? यहाँ पे whenever you're running using a function with a trigger, you have to write down returns trigger. Okay. It means that this function is associated with the trigger. I know this is new for you, but try to understand. ये बस एक बार समझना है. Like otherwise you just have to copy it. Okay. So you don't need to like write down them, remember them forever. Main thing is this says that this function is created instead of returning a data type, it is returning a trigger. Okay. So this basically it means it is executed on a trigger as okay $. Okay. $. Okay. Here now what do we have to do here? Begin and end. Okay. Anything in the language. So what is procedural PostgreSQL? Okay. Is it clear till this part, everyone? Itna clear hai? Anyone, any doubt? Tell me. I'm just making this capital so that I can look it differently. Does not matter. This is not case sensitive. Okay. This is I'm just writing down so that it looks better. That's it. Yeah. Anyone, any doubt in this part? This is the syntax of writing a function, right? Now I have to write down the code inside this. Guys, मुझे response नहीं आया तो मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा if you're understanding or not.
Bro, we need to write first function or we need to mention first there.
Think logically. You tell me. This is a trigger.
Function, yeah. First, we'll have to write a function because that function
you
will
have
be
not
used by
written
that.
this, how will this trigger run?
Right. The trigger should know what function you have written to be called, right? To be executed.
We don't call trigger under function. We write down a function. We call that function inside trigger. Trigger का
Yeah.
मतलब से अगर ये होगा तो वो होगा. If A happens, then do B. You need to know what is B here. If you don't know what is B, क्या मतलब है फिर उसका? So you have to define B before you define anything else.
फंक्शन तो ऑटोमेट कर रहा है ना, तो
हाँ.
that is mandatory before creating trigger.
Yes. So I wrote trigger first because I just wanted to explain you that why writing function first is necessary. If you don't write this first, मैं इसको भी simple ऐसे run कर दूं. Function does not exist, right? So to make this, you have to write down the function first. Okay. So अब देखो अब चीज क्या होती है यहाँ पे like one thing you need to understand. Whenever we update anything, so suppose whenever we update anything, whenever we update any new row, any row for example, so what happens? SQL in cache memory, it stores its old information and new information. Okay, and so this row ki pehle kya, suppose I made from 70,000 to 80,000, so its old value, there will be an old value and there will be a new value. Okay, so with triggers you can use them. So what do I mean to say? First of all, let's see what will happen. When I do track salary change, the moment there is a change in this, what I have to do, I have to insert rows into this table, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
The moment there is a change in salary, I have to insert rows in this table, right? नहीं समझ में आ रहा? Tell me guys if you are stuck, please tell me.
Yeah, understood.
So the moment there is a change in the employees table, there will be an update in this track salary change. So what will I do? I'll say insert into, what is the table name? Employee salary audit. Okay. What do we need to enter? Employee ID, right? Audit ID primary की है तो automatically 1 से update होती रहेगी. I don't need to specifically do that, but old salary and new underscore salary, right? And change underscore date. These are variables I need to insert into this, right? Now comes the main thing कि value मिलेंगी कैसे? Okay. Now listen very carefully. This is my employee ID. Okay. What did I tell you? Whenever a row gets updated, there is an old value and there is a new value of that row. So let's say there was a row, let's say 101, Ramesh, let's say his salary was 10,000. Okay. Now this is his old record. And what is his new record? 101, Ramesh, 20,000. Okay. New record. So what I need, first of all, I need employee ID. So technically this old and new, these are keywords. Okay. So when I say I can mention old dot or new dot employee ID. Okay. इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता क्योंकि my employee ID is not getting changed. So you can use old as well, you can use new as well. It does not matter. Okay. Now tell me, old salary will come from old record or new record?
Old.
Old, right?
Old.
Old dot. Now remember, this is coming from employee table. Okay. So if I look at the employees table, what is the name of the variable there? Salary. Okay. So I need to put employee underscore put old dot salary. Okay. Now new salary. What will be new salary? It will be new dot. I'm just keeping these capital में so that you can differentiate them. वैसे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Old dot. यहाँ पे न्यू डॉट आएगा, यहाँ पे न्यू डॉट सैलरी आ जाएगी, राइट? क्या होगा कि जो मेरी न्यू सैलरी है दैट विल कम हियर. ओके, न्यू सैलरी. एंड देन the time when this salary got changed, so you can put that time here dynamically ki statically ki okay, put current date or something. Do you know what is the how to get the current timestamp? Right, the current timestamp. I remember I taught you in the dates class. You use now. Okay, so what now does, इस moment पे जो भी timestamp है, it will give that. Okay, and remember I told you there were two, old record and new record. So which record do you need to provide now? आपको इस टेबल में कौन सा रिकॉर्ड डालना है? Remember this is a
New
function.
record.
This is a function, right? So we will return new. That's it. Okay. So this is the function which will be required to create this trigger. I know
New
this
कहाँ
is,
declare किया है, but
sorry,
new.
Just
Where
new,
is
yeah.
new
That
declared?
just new. It means that you're entering the new row. Okay.
I'm not getting this actually. Return
How it is
new.
understanding?
What are you not getting?
Return new is what means what it will return. New means just new is a what keyword or what?
Gated row. This is your old record. This is your new record. Which record do you want to provide after the function gets executed?
New one.
So that's why I'm entering new.
But new here is a what keyword?
It's
We
a
are, we are
keyword.
using it.
It's a keyword. New is a keyword. तभी तो पिंक में आ रहा है, वरना पिंक में नहीं आता.
So by just saying new, it will give the new salary, new dot salary
New
ka
row.
value.
Remember, new row. There are two rows. Whenever you update this row, there will be an old row, there will be a new row. Right?
Bro, once execute, bro.
Execute. I'm showing you. Understand this, that once you run this, right? Once you update any row, there is an old record and there's a new record. When you say old, it means कि आप change भी कर दोगे तो it will not impact anything. When you say by default new, it means it is updating. Okay, let me run this, you will see that change. Okay, so yeah, जाएगा. Okay, so this function is created now. So what is this function doing? That it, whenever you call this function, it will enter जो भी इस टेबल के अंदर एम्प्लॉय सैलरी ऑडिट के अंदर, it will enter these values: old employee ID, salary, old salary and new salary, and the current timestamp. Okay, now let me show you. Let's run this. No language specified. Okay, equal state, wait a second.
PG SQL.
नहीं वो तो दिया है returns trigger
Declare
language PL PG SQL wait a second, create function. Let me just check it once. Does it work here? Yeah, it works here as well. I'm just not entering it the right place. I think it, yeah, it comes before dollar. Sorry, it comes before this dollar sign. That's why it's not coming. So you have to put language outside it. We'll see that. Okay. Anyway, first of all, let's see the execution of this part. Okay. So this function is created, track salary change, right? Now, what you are doing, you're passing this. So now what you're doing that employees table pay, whenever there is any update on the row, run this track salary change. Okay. So now I will create this trigger on my employee table. So my trigger has been created. Now let's see this. Let's see the both of the tables and see क्या क्या उसमें आता है. So if I see employees, this so let's bring these two rows at the bottom. Okay, let's test the trigger. Test trigger. So my employees table is this right now. Rahul Sharma salary this, Priya Verma this salary, Amit Joshi salary this, and my employee salary audit is empty right now. Okay, but I have created trigger now. So now what I do, I'll update my employees table. I'll put some new value into this. So let's say update employees. Okay. Set salary equal to, let's say we make it 90,000. Okay. There employee underscore ID equal to 1. So what I'm doing, I'm updating salary for the first person. So what should happen the moment I run this code? What should happen ideally?
The employee salary audit table, in that table, one row should get inserted with the new salary
Yeah.
automatically. Yeah.
Yeah. With जिसमें information होगी old salary, new salary, and the time when this was executed. So for example, right now our time is 9:53 a.m. at my place. Okay. So let's say I run this. So this query ran successfully. Now let's run this table. Okay. So see, automatically I got a row. Old salary, new salary is 90,000. It was executed at 9:53. The salary got changed at this particular time. Is it clear, guys? So what happened? My trigger automatically, the moment it was tracking the change in this employees table, the moment it saw some change, it updated the information. Now let's keep on updating. Suppose I update for employee 2. Let's say I make the salary to be 1,000. Okay. And now again I run it. See, I got the second update as well. So the moment every time there is a change in my employees table in the salary or it's somewhere in that row, I will keep seeing those changes here.
You're not running that update command, no? You're just simply like writing and then running.
I'm just running update command. The moment I update employees, automatically this table में rows आती जाती हैं. I don't need to run anything else.
Okay.
So suppose for employee 3, like right now, if I see my employees table, for employee 3, let's make the salary, let's say make salary 2,000 for employee equal to 3. Okay, abhi employee audit mein there are 2 rows. Now, but the moment I run this update employees on this table, there will be an update in another update here. Okay. So what do you see? There's a trigger associated. It will keep on tracking the change and it will keep on updating the values. Is it clear, guys? I'll show you one more example. Don't worry, but just tell me, is this execution clear to you? This is a very powerful technique which will be required in SQL automation. When you will be studying SQL automation, this is very, very important. Triggers is a very important concept there. So now tell me, this return new, is it clear? Does this, for example, yeah. So let's first of all, let me explain this function once again. We create a function, we return trigger, okay? Then we are inserting into this table and we are returning new. So because whenever there's an update on any row, there is an old value and there is a new value. Okay, I want to return the new value. Okay, because this is the new value. This is a new value that I've created. I want to return this. Is it clear? Guys, आपको नहीं समझ में आ रहा? Please tell me.
So when we are saying like this is clear, but the वो जो return new है, so if we like so every time like in general I'm asking return, when we say return we either do a old or new, तो उसके
old or new?
means huh?
Yes, old or new.
Okay, so only these two can be the possibilities. Is there
Yes, only
anything
these
else we could?
only these two possibilities can be there.
Hmm.
If you return old, this is the new row which you have created, right? If you write down an old, it will mean you're returning the old row. So there's no point of writing this function, right?
Yes, yes. Old does not have any means relevance. Why you already have the old value? Why will you return the old value? But
Yes.
uh, that new keyword only was a bit okay.
So these are the keywords basically which you need to know: new and old.
So it is mandatory, right? Because see, after begin we have already written the complete query that insert into this audit table
Yes,
these
yes,
values like.
return, but we have to return. Every function should return something. Remember this.
Yes, yes, function should return something, but in this context, like I was means return when you say new, only then that will actually work, right?
Yes,
Only then it will return. So, sir, if we don't write return space new, then what will happen?
the
I mean,
function
I'm
is
just
not
asking.
if you don't write down this function is not returning anything. This function, it may have got created dynamically, I mean luckily, but generally a function without return does not work. I mean, it will cause errors later on. So
Okay.
Variables we wrote in insert into statement employee salary audit, the variables we created as a new variables
sorry,
that was not present in the table, no?
which one?
This employee ID, old salary, new salary, that variables we have created, no, for running this function.
No, it was present in the salary audit table. So I have taken these variables: employee ID, old salary, new salary, and changed it.
Okay, okay.
Remember, this might work luckily this time, but I'm telling you, when you will be using this in advanced codes, when a function does not return anything, it sometimes give blank or it does not give anything, right? That's the problem. So like we can try executing it for different scenarios. It will for sure throw you an error.
So in values, new dot salary mentioned. So by like with that keyword new, it is taking the new salary directly, automatically, and that's why we are printing new, returning new.
Yes. Think like this only. Old means your original value. New means your new value. 0, 1. Now think like this. What do you need to do? You need to insert row in salary audit table. So old salary will come from which? Will it come from old or it will come from new?
Old only.
That's the
Old.
old out salary. New salary will come
Yes.
from this row. So there are two
So
rows.
it is the matter of keywords. That's it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of keywords.
Hmm. Got it. Okay.
Is it clear, everyone? The concept. So the main thing is that this is a trigger. Create trigger, knowing the trigger condition and executing the trigger function. So trigger function you need to create, and then you need
So
to,
whenever create trigger is like have to create, function is required by
yeah,
default.
without function it will not work.
Got it.
Let's do another scenario. Okay, I'll write down code for another scenario. So let's say we have this particular case that prevent the deletion of patient records. So let's say there's a hospital's patient records should never be deleted. Instead, they should be marked as inactive. So what do I mean to say that? Let's go to this table, patient records. I have this table, patients. Okay. So let's say create table patient. Okay. And I insert values in this table. So let's say this is so I do select star from patient. Okay. So let's see this table. This is a table. We have one different patient, their age, their disease that they are having, and whether that patient is active. What does it mean? Whether that patient is in hospital right now or not, with something like that, right? This is a database of a hospital. It is tracking information of patients, right? So what do I need to do is that I need to create a trigger that a hospital patient record should never be deleted. Basically, whenever, even if a customer leaves the hospital, his record should never be deleted. Instead, they should be marked as inactive. Okay. So what does this mean? This means that whenever someone tries to delete the record, let's say someone goes and tries to delete, okay, delete patient.
Delete from patient.
It
Let's,
automatically marked as inactive.
what will happen after? So this is a trigger event. Okay. That on delete, someone, whenever someone tries to delete this, what should happen? uh, it should first of all should not be deleted, right? Second, uh, is active should become equal to false, right? This is my condition. So what will happen? This way I will retain the customer in my table, but will customer will become, patient will become inactive for my hospital, right? Is it clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but here is only one table that we are not adding
Yeah,
that
here's
record
only one
into the
table.
another
Let's
table.
create a trigger. Let's create a trigger that prevents deletion of patients from the table. Okay. So let's do that. So what is the syntax to create a trigger? We'll say create trigger. Let's say uh, trg underscore prevent. Okay. Uh, Now tell me what kind of trigger is this? So
Delete after.
whenever anyone tries to delete it, it does not let it delete.
Instead of delete.
After delete, so there are two options: after and before. Okay. Yeah, instead or delete, you can say after, before, and it is what is it? Is delete, it is update, it is insert. So
After delete.
is it after delete, before delete, whatever it is? Tell me.
No, before delete.
Create a trigger that prevents the deletion of patient. So what, it will not let you delete. It means that before delete.
If
Yes.
yes,
This trigger is before delete. Okay. Or instead of delete. Remember, or instead delete also you can use. Okay. So this is now on what table are you using this trigger? Patient.
Patient.
Okay. And now you're doing for each row. For each row. Okay. Execute function. Okay. You will say prevent. Okay. This is the trigger code which I have to write. Trigger. I'm just making it capital to make it look distinctive. Otherwise, you can use any. So what is my next step? I need to write down this function prevent. What will actually happen in this function prevent? Okay. So let's write down create function prevent. Okay. This function, remember, this returns trigger. So I'll say returns trigger as $. Okay. $, language procedural Postgres SQL. You can write down this language here as well. Okay, it's up to you before and after $. So you'll write on begin end. Okay. So it's not that you can copy from anywhere, right? Now main thing comes here. Key, what do we write? That so what is my criteria? Whenever user tries to delete, this is active should become false, right? For that customer. Agreed?
Yes.
And I should not let that customer delete the row. So what is going to happen? See this. First, I'll say update patients. Okay. So whenever anyone tries to delete a patient from the table, I'll say delete. So update the patient's table. Okay. Set is underscore active equal to false.
False.
Okay. Where now remember, I have to delete a particular patient ID. So where patient, so do I need to do false for everyone or for the customer for which that particular person is deleting?
Particular person.
For the particular,
Particular
yeah.
person, where patient underscore ID equal to something. Now remember this, whenever
Okay.
you
Dynamic.
to delete something, okay, there will be an old record and there will be a new record, right? Yes or no? So what are we
Yeah.
doing? We are creating, this is an old record where customer was true. Then in the new record, customer's ID is false, right?
Hmm.
So patient ID I'm getting from
Yes.
old dot
Dot
Patient.
patient
is
underscore
patient underscore ID.
Okay. Patient ID.
right. I'm not making it false for everyone. I'm only making it false for that particular person for which I'm trying to delete.
Delete.
And why old?
That will get updated as a false.
By default there is a row which is present. When I try to make some change, I'm putting a new value there, right? So you can take new as well or old as well. I'm just trying to get it from there. There are multiple methods to get it. If you don't want to use old or new, you can pass them as a variable here inside the function and you can use them directly. But ओल्ड और न्यू दो ही वर्ड्स होते हैं, मोस्टली ओल्ड ही होता है जो हमें यूज करना होता है टू गेट आईडी, एंड न्यू इफ यू वांट टू ट्रैक सम चेंज, बेसिकली ये होता है. ओके, नाउ सो फर्स्ट पार्ट आई हैव डन दैट, आई हैव स्टॉप्ड, मैंने एक्टिव तो कर दिया, बट व्हाट इज माय नेक्स्ट स्टेप? I want to stop the deletion, right?
Right.
So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write down return null. Okay, so why null? Everyone must be thinking that. So what will happen that whenever you will run this function, okay, now this value will get updated for that person. Okay, you will not get, I mean, the new you that thing will not be like, I'm not returning old or new. Okay, so when I say null, it means that the row will not be deleted from the table. Is it clear or it's confusing?
No, sir, not getting. Why not return new? Because we anyways want the is active set to be false, and that will be considered as new, the state
New.
now for the patient, right?
You do new. Okay. Where are you stopping the deletion? Tell me.
Mm, no, maybe not. Cannot stop deletion. I mean, it will not guarantee that
There is
it
no
will not give
condition na, for
deletion.
deletion. Only we are updating the patient where active then false.
So when you basically, when you will bring new, it will automatically delete it. Or if you bring old as well, it will delete it. When you bring null, it will not do any change in the table. That is what, so basically it will not delete the row. That's what null will do.
Okay, okay.
एक बार सोच लो आप लोग पहले. Take a minute and think. Please let me know if you have doubts.
Means in the earlier example that we were taking, where the uh, the old, or when we were saying,
जो हम चेंज कर रहे थे हम उसको शो कर रहे थे, राइट?
yeah, right.
यहाँ पे we are not preventing that to be get deleted, like old या फिर like new, so that will not make any sense.
Yes.
So means I was trying to just correlate that in the earlier example when we were saying return new, then in that case, like अभी अगर हमने null बोला है तो it will not delete anything, but in the previous one was it deleting something? Means I'm just
Previous one,
suspect.
we were not deleting anything. We were just adding a new row, right?
Yeah, right.
Tell me, what was the previous scenario?
We were adding a new row provided any in the audit, of course, table, another table. If in the previous table any like the row information is updating basically.
Yeah, so उसमें हम लोग क्या, so the पूरा thing, the whole code of triggers, that in that whole process used to go through, and then you're returning a new row basically which is used, right? Here, upon deletion, you're not letting that delete process happen because you're not returning anything. That's what it is doing.
Okay. Okay.
Think again, please think again, guys.
Satvik, so here we are making the flag as false, right? So is there a possibility that in the table where the user is got to see, there the flag is, I mean, that row is still exists with act, I mean, with the
The rows
flag
will exist.
false?
I'll show you. The row will exist, but this will be marked as false.
False, yeah. So the user can see that, right?
Yeah, user can see that. User can see that.
Okay.
So you have basically what you have done. You on your database, you have put a condition that if by mistake anyone, or even if by like knowingly anyone tries to delete a person, it will not delete him. It will not let him delete.
Yeah.
Just like constraints we used earlier.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
So technically, when we say that return null, right, what does it mean? That it will tell the trigger that do nothing with. So remember, we run for each row. So what will happen? That it will execute this part. It will make that false. And when we say return null, it will mean, it will say that okay, do not basically do the deletion step. So what will happen? Whenever user tries to delete, the deletion process will not happen, but this part will automatically get executed, right? Because we have mentioned it. So user's ID will change from true to false, but user's row will not get deleted. That is the concept of null here. I know because you are seeing for the first time, logically थोड़ा पढ़ने में, like understand करने में difficulty होगी. Do one thing, uh, try this code on your, try all the scenarios, null, old, new, and see those results on your own, right? When you try to practice, you will see the difference. That what does null mean? What does it mean? So null, basically we use null. Let me tell you, we use null whenever you have to stop any execution, okay, in SQL. So when we just return null, it will not let that process happen. So that is the use of null actually. Okay, is it clear? Let me show you other examples as well. Okay. So I mean, you guys don't need to do, just see what I'm doing and try to process it logically. Okay. So I think everyone has left the meeting. Uh, do you guys want me to continue or like what? I wanted to show you a couple of more examples. Just that, like topic by topic wise, we are done. Like there are a few more use cases. I just want to show you that how does that work. So let me show you in this example only that how does basically, I didn't show you, right? So we ran this trigger prevent. Okay. So this function we created as dollar return begin and this will also be there. So this return, and now let's let this trigger. Okay, let's test on our table. So we had select star from patient, right? So let's see for this patient. Let's see the patient number 3, Rohan Sen. He's active, right? And he's presently in the table. Let's say I try to delete him. Okay. So what will be the command to delete him?
Delete from patient where
Delete from patient where patient
patient
underscore ID is equal to
ID
3. Okay. So when I run this, क्या होना चाहिए?
It should
It
remain
will
same
mark
in the
as the
table, and
false.
only is active should become false.
Okay. Now let's see. Delete 0 means कुछ delete नहीं हुआ table से. And when I run this, it will become false. Let's say I try to do with the patient 1 as well. Okay. Now when I run this, it will become false for 3 and 1. Is it clear?
Yeah.
So let's try to do a scenario. I wanted to give you as an assignment in live class, but because of time crunch, I am doing it myself. You guys just try to follow. Okay. There was another use case. I'm skipping this one. We're doing this one. Okay. This one is very interesting, like more impactful. So the assignment, the question says that implement a secure. So this is generally the project which you were mentioning, right? That I want to do project, right? So this is a
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of project that you have to implement a secure banking system. Okay. It will not be given using triggers. You have to think yourself. Okay. You're working as a database developer for a bank, and your manager has given you the following requirements to implement to the bank's database. Okay. Prevent overdraft transaction. A customer should not be allowed to withdraw more money than their account balance. Okay. If a withdrawal attempt exceeds the available balance, the transaction should be blocked. Okay. So this is the first thing you need to implement on your database. Second, every deposit and withdrawal transaction should be logged into an audit table that keeps a track. ये तो हमने अभी किया है, right? This one we just did.
This is new
Yeah.
table, another table.
Yeah, this is new table, but the question is same, right? That you have
Same.
to
Yeah.
flag that in a new table. If a customer withdraws more than $10,000 in a single transaction, it should be flagged as a suspicious transaction and stored in a separate table for review. Okay, so this is the scenario. So let me do uh, prepare these things and show you how to implement this. Okay, this is a kind of project only that someone was talking about, that you will be given okay, a company is doing this, prepare a database like this and where it. So I mean, I'm just not calling it a project, I'm calling it assignment, but technically it's a project only. Okay, so let's try to see how you can implement. Any idea? Can you guys tell me how will you do this? I just need 15 more minutes, then we are done with the session. So let's talk about scenario 1. A customer should not be allowed to withdraw more money than their account balance. If a withdrawal attempt exceeds the available balance, the transaction should be blocked. So let me show you how to do this. Of course, there are some tables present which we will create. So this is, if you come here, I have created this assignment. So I've created multiple tables here. Transaction audit, suspicious transactions. Okay. So first is table accounts. So I'm creating a table. Let me delete this. There are multiple tables. Okay. There's a table accounts. Then there is a table transactions. Okay. Then there's a table transaction audit, which we will need to create if a person. Then suspicious transactions table. I need to keep entering values to it if there is any suspicious transaction, and then these are the customers. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's call it account. So this is my first table, account. So let's do this. Select star from account. Okay. So this is my table. So what information I have? I have customer's account ID, customer name, and his balance. Okay. This is my first. And what is my question? Let's see the question once again. Question says that a customer should not be allowed to withdraw more money than their account. So there's a transaction table as well. Okay. Then their account balance. If a withdrawal attempt exceeds the available balance, the transaction should be blocked. So there is a transaction table, this one. Okay. Transactions. Let me delete this. There's a transaction tables. Okay. So this is a transaction table. What will happen whenever customer does any transaction, it gets into this type of table. Select star from transaction. Okay. So here what information will be there? Transaction ID, account ID, transaction type, amount, and transaction date. Okay. So what is the trigger that we have to build? So the trigger that a customer should not be able to withdraw more than his balance, right? Of course, आपके account में
Yes.
अगर balance 0 है and you do a transaction of 5,000, it gets declined, right? So
Yes.
पीछे क्या होता है? पीछे there is a trigger that is there. So यही चीजें जो people put it in back end, हमें लगता है कि पता नहीं क्या system है. It is very simple. I'm just implementing it in front of you right now. Okay. So if you see, this transaction table has transaction ID, transaction type. There are two: deposit and withdrawal. So if there is any withdrawal which is greater than the balance of the customer, I want to stop that transaction. So let's try to build this trigger. Okay. So what should be a trigger? Create trigger. So let's say block transaction. Okay. Create trigger, block transaction. Now tell me what type of trigger this is. Before, after, insert, delete, update. Tell me. First, is it before or after?
Before.
Now
It
think,
should be
there are
before
two tables.
transaction.
One is a transaction table and one is a account table. Okay. So why is it before and why not after? Or why is it after and why not before?
It should be before because we have to check. Before initiating the transaction, we have to check the balance and the transaction amount.
But there is a catch. See, there are two tables. One is account table, okay, and one is transaction table. Okay. Now, does not matter if transaction gets failed or succeed. That record is there in the transaction table. So, for example, a lot of time we try to do transactions, right? Suppose you enter incorrect OTP, the transaction gets declined, right? Do you at times you see in your logs, in your message, that a transaction was declined for, let's say, whatever amount? So the transaction is actually entered in the transaction table, but that does not affect the account table. Are you getting my point?
So it's after update.
So there are two tables. So let me tell you this transaction. Okay. First of all, trigger, we have to decide whether we want to create on this or we want to create on this. Okay. If I want to create a trigger on transaction, it will be after or before. First, tell me on which table actually we should create a trigger, account or transaction.
Hmm. Transaction, I think.
What is the question? Question says that create a customer should not be able to withdraw more than his balance.
So on the account table,
No, the trigger should be on the transaction table. See, account table where there can be multiple changes. A customer might change his name, a customer might do something else, right? But the main condition is that I want to stop the transaction when customer is doing a transaction, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So technically what is happening, the moment there is a transaction, there is an added transaction in the transaction table where the amount is greater than his actual balance, then I have to block it. So trigger should be on transaction table. It should not be on account table, first of all. Is it clear, or it's a bouncer?
Yeah, clear.
Clear?
Yep.
So create trigger block transaction. Now it should come after insert. And why I'm saying in after insert, the reason is that जो आपकी transaction table होगी ना, where you will get a something like this transaction ID, let's say 101, amount, let's say $4,000.
It keeps on updating. That's why insert.
Yeah, it will be declined. It will not be approved. So generally there are two things: approved or declined, right? Does not matter if it is up, even if it is declined, there will be a row added in the transaction table that a customer tried. There was some attempt of a transaction of this much amount, but it was declined.
That we are not any updating, just like low rows are getting added, approved or
Yeah,
declined.
rows are custom. Your balance is not. So remember, these are two different tables. A row getting added to your transaction table does not ensure that your balance will get reduced, right?
Right.
If that transaction is approved, then only your balance will get reduced,
Yes.
right? So after insert, now on one table we are doing on transactions. Okay, and for each row I'm doing,
Sir, why after insert? I'm not getting that, sir. Why after insert?
what you're not, tell me what you're not getting, then I will explain.
I mean, straight, right? Like, why are you doing it like after insert? Because we want to means now from the transaction table. I understood that we have to put a trigger on that, but uh, why are we doing it and after insert? Because it should, because what is happening what is expected is if the withdrawal amount is greater than the balance. So suppose mm, means it's kind of an update, correct? So why insert? I'm not getting. We are withdrawing some amount. That means it is an update operation, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm not
Let's
understanding.
put the
No,
problem.
think like that you are
The problem
performing
is you
like
are thinking
transactions.
from one table perspective. You're not thinking that there are two tables. First of all, in general, there are multiple tables in the database. Okay,
Yeah,
there's a transaction table, and there one table will be where your account balance is being maintained. Let's say this is your account ID.
yeah.
This is your balance, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
What is the question? Question is the
So the
moment
question,
there is a
hmm,
transaction which is greater than your actual amount, greater than your balance, it should get declined,
balance, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
It should get declined. Something like that is the scenario, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now think like this. Let's say there's a transaction ID of 101. Let's say there's a customer. Sorry. Let's say. Okay. Let's say the same customer is there. Okay. Uh, some ID in one, and the balance is 10,000. Okay. 10,000. Amount is of 5,000. Status, will it get approved or rejected?
Approve.
Let's say there's a transaction of 15,000. will this be approved or declined?
Declined.
Even the transaction is declined, there is a row that is added.
Okay, so you mean to say one row will be added to the transaction table saying
Table
that this is a trans.
account में कुछ नहीं add होगा.
No, no, no,
Balance.
not in accounts. I'm saying in the that I got that. I'm just saying that like once the attempt is made to withdraw more amount than whatever is the balance, then the new row is getting inserted into the transaction table saying that this was the amount that was tried or that was attempted to be withdrawn, which got declined.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Whenever you
Okay.
call customer care, they sometimes will tell you na that I'm not sure if you have, I have faced a lot of time that sometimes incorrect charges are there which get declined or something like that, right? They have all the information that whether this much transaction was attempted or not on your account, everything they have. So any kind of transaction that has been attempted on your account will be stored in this table. Does not
So
matter.
this is the insert that you are talking about. So that is why you have written after insert.
Yes. Yes, I'm talking about this.
Sure. Okay. Okay.
So I'm saying the moment there is a new row in this table means a new transaction was attempted. Okay, I'm saying this much right now, that whenever there is a new transaction being attempted on this, I have to do something. I'm saying that. Okay, now look at this trigger. I'm saying create a trigger block transaction after insert. I'm not saying whether transaction is approved or declined. अभी तक मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
anytime there is a new row that is added into the transaction table, create a trigger for me. Okay.
Okay.
And execute function.
Function.
Let's say block transaction. Okay. Now, अभी मुझे नहीं, so think like this. Now there is a new row that is added here. For example, now this trigger will. Now I need to check whether the amount is greater than balance or not. If it is greater,
Yeah.
then you will be declined. Otherwise, it will be approved. Okay. So my trigger is only the anytime there is an insertion of any row in the transaction. So it means anytime someone tries to attempt a transaction on my account, this trigger will get activated. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what is the purpose of this trigger? This need to check something. Okay. So I'll create a function, create function, this thing, block transact. Okay. Returns trigger as $, language PLPG SQL. PLPG SQL. Okay. We make it PLPG SQL. Begin end. Okay. Now think like this. So what do we need to do now?
We need to basically first thing we need to
This transaction
check.
का जो amount है वो मेरे
Transaction balance greater than account balance.
right? So now see this code what I am going to write. Now remember there will be old और new होता है, remember जो मैंने बताया था पहले. Okay.
Yeah.
If new dot transaction यहाँ पे जो वेरिएबल का नेम है it is transaction underscore type. If new dot transaction underscore type, if new dot transaction type is equal to withdrawal. Okay. Remember there can be two type of transaction. Deposit भी हो सकता है, withdrawal भी हो सकता है, right? For any kind of transaction, a row will be added. I need to check this whether it is a withdrawal first of all. Okay. If it is a withdrawal and what? So let me just make it. new dot amount, जो basically the amount that I'm going to transact,
Amount, yeah. Mm.
if it is greater than what?
Greater than.
The balance of
Balance.
that customer. Now remember this. It's
This
not
is
over there.
will.
Yeah, tell me.
Here we have from which table? Now we are into the transaction table, and we
Wait,
need
wait,
to
wait.
compare
Now we need to compare the
it
actual
with
balance
the
of customer account.
in the
Right?
in the accounts table. Yeah.
Yeah. So what will I do here? I will say, and new amount is greater than, select balance. इसमें balance नाम था ना इसका, balance. Okay. From, what is the table name? Accounts. Where account underscore ID is equal to. So I'm checking इस टेबल के अंदर जो अकाउंट आईडी है बेसिकली दिस वन टेबल अकाउंट्स के अंदर जो अकाउंट आईडी है, राइट, it should be equal to the account ID of the new transaction, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying new dot account underscore ID. So what does this condition say? If whatever the new row is, if it is a withdrawal statement, and if that amount is greater than the balance of that customer, so of that customer is coming from here, right? And select balance from accounts.
So this is a subquery. This has become, right. I mean,
Yes, this has become a subquery.
Scalar subquery.
Then I am raising an exception. Okay, we have to basically flag this transaction. We want to prevent it from happening. So they, like, remember जहाँ पे मैंने null use किया था. If you don't want to use null, you can use other things as well. Okay.
Okay.
You can use raise exception. Okay. And you will display a message. Insufficient funds. Please try again later. Something like that. Okay. Or let's say, please try again later. क्यों पहले पैसे डालो ना, एक second. Withdrawal won't withdrawal blocked, something like this. Okay, something like this happened. I mentioned. Okay, I'm not sure if you know this, how to end this. You have to end this statement, you have to use end if. Okay, and then remember, now tell me one thing. Whenever I'm adding a new transaction in the transaction table, am I deleting that row or I'm just letting it happen? For example, let's say even if this transaction was declined or approved, this row will remain here, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm returning new. New means the new row, whichever the customer inserted. Okay, that's it. This is the last question for the day. So कोई बात नहीं, like just try to understand the logic that, because till now we are playing with one table only, right? Here in this question I brought two
Two
tables,
tables.
right?
Accounts and
Usually you can bring multiple, so the complexity will keep on increasing, but the core concept will remain same. The core concept is that you have to first identify on which table you have to put that trigger, and then you might need to compare across multiple tables like this. Okay, so I'm just checking कि जो मेरा new row आया है उसमें is it withdrawal, and if the amount is greater than the actual balance from that particular account. Okay, so if amount is greater, then raise an exception. So that's it. Now let me run this. Okay, and now let me run this particular trigger. Okay, now let me show you. Select star from accounts. Account नाम था ना, accounts का क्या नाम था, account. Okay, and select star from transactions. Okay, so this is a transaction. Okay, let us say I try to insert a value in this. in this transaction table, right? Let's say someone tries to insert a value. So insert into transactions. Let's say someone tries to do a transaction. Okay. So एक बार मैं account ID check कर लूँ क्या है? Account ID. So let's take account ID as 2. 2 का balance कितना है? Let's say 2 का balance is 8,000, right? Okay. So let's try to enter this account underscore ID. Okay. Transaction underscore type, amount, txn underscore date. Okay. Values. Okay. So account ID kitni hai? It is 200. Okay. Transaction type, we have to keep it withdrawal. Tabhi wo lagega. So withdrawal. Suppose the transaction type is withdrawal. Amount, so 10,000 kar dete hain. And transaction date, let's put it as current. Now dal dete hain. Okay. Is it clear? So now I'm trying to insert a transaction in this table for a customer ID 2 where transaction amount is greater than his balance, right?
Declined.
So insufficient funds, withdrawal blocked. Okay.
Withdrawal blocked.
The line has been raised. Okay. Now if I run into this account, now let's try to make a transaction which is less than this. Let's make it 1,000. 2 ka balance 8,000. I'm now making a transaction of 1,000. So it will pass. And transaction के अंदर आ गया. ठीक है?
So it is entering in new table. That's why can you go to on top? That's why you mentioned new over there.
Yes.
Here written new.
Yes.
Okay, now got it.
So the condition that I've given that whenever there's a someone tries to do a transaction greater than his balance, then block it. Okay. Then don't let that row enter in the table. Otherwise, return that whatever value it return it. Okay. So this was the concept. Last topic for the today. There are few.
Sir, can you please, like, the queries which you wrote now, can you collate it into one document? I think we lost that data.
I didn't write anything. I didn't save it anything anywhere actually.
Can you save this and share it to the drive? At least we can take it for reference. Otherwise,
this much I can share.
Yeah. So that when we are writing on our own, now we can refer to this at least.
You can come to video and see na. Video में पढ़ाई होगा. I mean video, because you have attended the class, you know कि video में कहाँ पे क्या पढ़ा रहा था. So you can refer that, but still I will upload this. I'll upload this on the drive. So is logically things clear. देखो ये चीज़ है, unless you will write down yourself, you will not feel more confident. But my job was to explain you that something like this exists. Now you can create these were very basic triggers which I created. Like you can create.
So is it the headache of database developers?
Yeah, that's the headache of database developer. So if you want to get into those fields, remember these type of work will be very common for you. Okay. So like you should know something like this exists. Again, syntax nahi bhi yaad, koi baat nahi. See the copy the code, try to paste it and run it and see.
But at least logic have to build up, no? Like what is happening, what has to insert.
Code, right? But at least you should know something like this there. Triggers वगैरह interview में क्यों theoretically पूछा जाता है? No one asks you to write down the code. They will ask you when you apply what type of trigger, what is trigger, right? So you should know what is trigger. Triggers पे कभी coding का question नहीं आता है. Triggers पे they always ask conceptual questions. So so build the logic
Is it the
properly.
part of SQL optimization if
Yes,
someone
this
asks?
is part of SQL optimization.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So tell me if you have any more doubt. Otherwise, I'm good. We're good to like close the session. There will be in the drive. There are like you can try more questions. So if you see there are 2 more questions. So try these on your own. Let me know. And there was another question, question number 3, case 3, which I missed. Wait a second. Which one I missed? This case. Audit prevent the deletion. Yeah, this one. Auto generating invoice numbers for orders. This one you can try, and so 3 questions are left. You can try them and let me know how they go. Okay, so this was it, guys. I hope you learned something new. I know it was a little confusing, but this was important to tell. It's an important concept that is tested. So main thing is you try these on your own. Build theoretical concept only. No need to remember all the codes. It's fine. Even I don't remember everything, but you should have theoretical in your mind, because in interviews they will only ask theoretical questions on what are triggers, when to use triggers, when to use indexes, when to use stored procedure, what is the difference between stored procedure and function. Okay, these things you should be knowing. So conceptually you should be prepared. Coding wise though, interview mein they ask only those coding questions that we have been doing earlier, or which are on the website. Coding point of view, so they won't ask you to create function, create trigger, create indexes. No one is going to ask that, but they'll test you theoretically. So that's it. Yeah. Okay, guys. So let me know if you have any other question. Otherwise, we are like free to drop. We'll continue next week for the remaining classes. Yeah.
So SQL. Now we will be having the next class in like what in SQL. What
CTE is
topics
left.
are?
I have to cover CTE in next class. After that, SQL problem solving. I have to cover one class on that.
Okay.
There are a few more
I think
concepts there is another concept of uh, there's called SQL injection. I mean that is
Yeah,
not.
SQL injection.
So that is there when someone tries to
Hack the
have a
password or something.
incorrect. Yeah. So I will tell you theoretically what are they. I don't need to go in deep. Those are not required for you. Like unless you are properly becoming some database developer or something. Again, this course is not for database developer, so I'm not covering those topics in detail. But triggers, I've told you what is the concept of triggers. What is indexes? I told you what uh, stored procedures. I told you functions, right? These are the topics you should be knowing. That what are they? So yeah, so the video will be live on YouTube. The video is getting recorded live, so you can access them right now after the class as well. But thanks again for joining the session. Keep on studying, and we'll meet next
I
week.
have one thing.
Yes, please.
Uh, I think PLSQL is case sensitive. I mean,
Yeah,
whenever like I have
I
to
think
try to
I
import,
think it is. Yeah, I have not used it very extensively, so but I think it is. Yes.
because column names that in sentence case or in caps no full, so it was like have to put in the quotation.
Okay.
Hmm.
So PLSQL might be, but yeah, I mean that's not in our syllabus right now, but it's fine. I mean,
I mean, just Google it from your end as well. I mean, I did chat GPT that it was
I'll
not
check it.
entering.
I'll check it. I'll check it.
Let me know.
Sure, sure.
Okay, thanks. Have
Thanks.
a nice day.
Anyone, any other doubt? Let me know. Otherwise, please feel free to drop the session. Okay, guys. So thanks. I think no one has any doubt. We'll see. We'll meet next week. So keep studying. You have the files. Please try those remaining questions. Then only you will understand. Okay. So
Satvik,
yeah,
uh,
please.
is there any like SQL statement that we can use to list all the usable functions?
Uh, I don't remember, to be honest. I mean, I can check it right now. It's
Okay. And as well, like what all triggers are there? Can we check? I mean, can we see what all triggers are there in the database?
it triggers. So by default, there's nothing.
Mm, no, already not no user defined.
See, you want all the user-defined functions, right?
Yeah, user defined functions and
Yeah. So this
triggers,
is.
like how to see.
Let's see. Select routine name. Let's run this code. Let's see. Even I don't know if it will work. It's not showing me anything. So this is user defined, na? Let me check. Postgres. Yeah, you have to use the following command df. Okay, let's see. So this has given a lot of functions which are all the functions which are present slash. So if you go this is a psql tool. Here you just write down this command and
Okay,
it shows.
that's the terminal of Postgres.
Postgres. That's a terminal of Postgres. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So /df.
Slash
Okay.
df.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of other. Even I didn't know. I mean, I knew something like this exists, but for example, these are all the public schema. For
Okay.
example, this is just like command line prompt of Postgres. Yep. So you can check from there. I mean, because
Okay.
even I don't remember what all functions are there.
Yeah, sure. Uh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So thanks again. We'll meet next week. If you have any other doubt, let me know.
Okay. So Satvik, I have few doubts on website questions. So
But that we will cover in some other session. Right. The website out. I'll schedule a session for that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
So,
Yeah. Okay
okay.
then.
Thank you. Thank you.